concussion. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. You came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise, move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys, man so tough, but man's keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize, like girls, better tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan, if you wanna touch me, please use caution. Stop that, stop that, stop that.
I'm going to ask a controversial question here to start off our week, Stugotz. Is Sam Hauser a better long-range shooter than Larry Bird at Le Batard Show?
Shot for your life?
No, different question. That is not the same question.
Okay.
It is not shot for your life. It is simply, is Sam Hauser, because at some point, right, the legends of our youth, we're going to disrespect them the way Anthony Edwards disrespected Kevin Durant during that game.
Everyone except for Michael Jordan. Yep. I'm with you on that.
I think Sam Hauser is a better long-range shooter than Larry Bird. I think all of the skills in this sport have gotten to such a crazy place that the shot that's most valuable, people are better at it today because that's where the money is than they've ever been. Brian Scalabrini said the thing, Stugotz.
Yep, Scal.
He said the code red was ordered and that Eric Spoelstra.
Come on.
What are you shaking your head about, Roy?
Skull.
He'll be on with us later. He was scheduled to be on with us.
Skull's going to be on with us later?
Yes, but he was scheduled to be on with us before he said this. And now he's wandering around telling everybody that Spo ordered the code red. Somebody's going to have to make that Celtics-Heat series interesting because it feels, after game one, it feels both in hockey and in basketball like the organizational shifts that have been necessary in these rivalries, that Boston has overtaken Miami organizationally and that the Florida Panthers have taken over the Tampa Bay Lightning organizationally.
This part, though, is very, very important. Are you telling the audience, because it's a big distinction, that we had Scal booked before he said the thing?
Yes.
We're not booking him because he said the thing.
That is correct.
Okay.
I am saying we are not adding flames to this fire on purpose.
All right.
Izzy Gutierrez is here with us. The playoffs in hockey and basketball have me feeling today the sports slothy I feel on Monday only after football.
But how? Nothing started yet.
Yep. Good point.
There have been no upsets. No road teams won. The playoffs haven't technically started yet. Put it on the poll, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Have the basketball and hockey playoffs actually started yet? Yes or no? Because in basketball, the games weren't even interesting.
No, just the one that I fell asleep on at the end. I have no idea how that game ended. I saw the score. I was like, OKC Pelicans, that's the one game. But the rest of them were bad. By the way, it's not a code red because if you take out Jason Tatum, the Celtics are still sweeping the Heat. So slow down, Scalabrini. Slow down.
The Celtics, Stugotz, at one point during that game, I didn't see the final numbers, but 66% of their shots were threes. They never lose when they shoot that way. They often shoot that way because they are completely overwhelming offensively. One of the reasons this series doesn't bode well for Miami is because Miami is not as good at offense as Boston is at defense and is not as good at defense as Boston is at offense.
Well, I don't know if you guys want me to do this because Mike's not here. And, when Mike sort of speaks about his current fandom or lack of fandom when it comes to the Miami Heat, I feel like people are sort of rolling their eyes. Yeah. But I feel like watching this Boston series, just the first game, I kind of understand it now. I understand his position. I'm not fully backing him. I think if you're a fan, you got to stick with it. But I understand his position. When you look at Bam and Jimmy are effectively a duo that is, not a perfect fit, kind of like Tatum and Brown, a duo not exactly a perfect fit. They've tried to add the pieces around him. They've tried a Kyrie Irving, a Kemba Walker, this guy, and now Kristaps Porzingis. And now, in that time, they've also added a Derek White. They've added a Drew Holiday. Now that imperfect duo looks like they're on an all-timer type of team. That's all Mike was asking. We've got Jimmy. You've got Bam. put the right pieces so where 5 years down the road, you have this unstoppable team. He was looking for his, Jason Tatum was looking for his Pau Gasol. He got it in Kristaps Porzingis. Jimmy and Bam still are looking for their Pau Gasol. Give it another year. And this is where I'm saying with Mike is like, don't give up. Give it another year because Woj is telling you Miami's in position to maybe get another big-time player next year. And what will that team look like? It would look way better if you're playing with a Donovan Mitchell in there the same way this Celtics team looks with a Kristaps Porzingis. So the Celtics are actually doing the Heat thing better than the Heat.
Tyler Hero has done some damage to his value over the last few games of inefficiencies. And I don't know about the rest of you as it regards this sport, but I still find it disorienting to see the 7'3" guy shooting from 30 feet.
So well, too.
Why would anybody block that shot? That has been almost the entirety of my life a terrible shot.
Imagine Kareem shooting from that distance.
That's what it's like to see the 7'3" guy do that. I talked to Stugotz, I was surprised by this. I talked to a person that's high ranking in the NBA who would know stuff about player evaluation, who said he would take 13 centers over Bam.
Really?
13 centers.
Huh.
And
Don't talk to that person anymore.
Did he list them?
he did.
Really?
I'm gonna get the list for you. Porzingis was one of them, but one of the reasons for it is the stretching of the floor that Bam doesn't do the way Porzingis does. I still don't think watching that game that Bam wants to be taking the threes. He'll take them, but it doesn't feel like he wants to be taking them.
Not his job. There's a whole other side of the floor that Porzingis could not do any of the things that Bam does.
Izzy, you made good points, but they are playing without Jimmy Butler. I mean, it should be noted.
No. I'm not saying that this Heat team is what it is. I'm saying if Jimmy was there, they would still
You are
be
saying
underdogs.
this Heat team is what it is. That is what you're saying. You're saying it is what it is. I don't know what that is. What is that?
You got me. I'm saying the pieces around them have not gotten good enough over the years. We're still, we have enough. No, it needs to be overwhelming. It used to be back in the day with the Heat Big Three. That was overwhelming talent. What are you going to do with that? Now the talent's more spread out. There's duos all over the league.
It's whelming, you're saying. It's whelming talent.
Yes. And this whelming talent here in Miami is just not enough to get people like Mike excited who have been on this train the entire time.
Mike didn't even watch the Heat game. He was at Panthers. Roy, you're leaving early today because you've got a big Panthers interview, correct?
Yes, we have an interview with Anton Lundell.
Wow.
Nice.
How did you feel watching a game in which
My Pillow guy?
No, that's a different Lundell. That's Lindell, actually.
That's your first contribution, letting anyone know you're here today, Billy?
Just asking in
a
case
good
there's
one.
confusion. Yeah.
How did it feel watching a Lightning playoff game and I didn't see Kucherov? Didn't feel him, didn't have any idea where he was?
It felt good. I mean, the Panthers really threw the Lightning off their game plan for the first 15 minutes of the game, and it really felt good. It was a good grind in that game. The first shot for Tampa in the game happened like 7 minutes left in the first period. So
But
really
those
played
next
that game.
3 minutes.
Okay, all right. They took advantage of the one defensive lapse that the Panthers had on the third opportunity off the faceoff play they had. That's when they scored. That's when Brandon Hagel scored. But outside of that, it was all Panthers.
That whole second period, you weren't nervous even for a second?
No, because the Panthers played very good defense in this game, and it was really good. And it was a very physical game. It wasn't the type of, bulldozing, bowl you over type checking. It was like enough checking to get you off of the puck and take the puck away.
PK Subban said that he wanted more hatred. That was his analysis.
It's just the first game of
It's a long
seven-game
road to Lord
series.
Stanley, Dan. You don't want to.
Roy, I'm going to call BS on you, by the way, because I do think 1-1 headed to the third. You were nervous just because of the opponent. I do.
No.
Yeah.
No. They really threw the Lightning off their game. They really did. 109 hits in that game. Everybody got a hit. I've never seen that before. The entire team, both teams, each player got a hit except for the goaltender.
Why is Subban out here saying that he wants more hatred?
He does. I mean, he wants hockey to work in Florida, and that's apparently
We
what's gonna take.
don't need more hatred. There was no
No,
need.
there's enough hatred between these two teams. I mean, regular season, past playoff appearances, there's enough hatred there, and it will build up.
We need more.
Mark Messier's analysis is that the third goal was going to win that game because of what Roy's talking about. The neutral zone was entirely controlled by the Panthers.
Oh, yeah. All the entries that the Lightning had in this game, they pretty much clogged them up. It was a sight to see.
Do the rest of you feel the way that I do on this Monday, the way that you do after a college football Saturday and Sunday? Because I'm a little bit overwhelmed by the amount of sports that there were over the weekend, but it wasn't necessarily good or dramatic. You don't have anything that gave you an excitement, an enthusiasm, a surprise game one win, a road team winning a game one.
A lot of blowouts. All these teams should join a conference. I don't like seeing blowouts in the playoffs.
The rare, boring, exciting weekend.
Nailed it.
Was it?
It was like there was a lot going on, but there wasn't a lot of interesting stuff
I
going
felt
on.
like it's generally how I feel when I go to Vegas. I'm excited when I go there, and by the time I'm leaving, I feel dirty and
Don't
broke.
ever want to be here
Yeah.
again.
And it was worse for South Florida fans because it was all over by 3 p.m. And then you've got all this other sports to watch, but you're already hungover.
This is another problem, that all of their games in the first two games, they've got another conflict the next time. They're giving me both games that have stakes that I care about at exactly the same time. I need it spread out.
There was an outlier to this. The Jets beat the Avalanche 7-6.
Yep.
13 goals in that game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank
that
you.
was a banger.
Thank
That was
you.
a banger.
You're right.
There was something.
And the
Barn
game
burner.
that you missed because you fell asleep busy in basketball, C.J. McCollum had a bad shot late. He was well guarded, and they missed Zion at the end.
Got it. Thanks.
I was watching golf yesterday. Nelly Corda. I mean,
And Scotty Scheffler.
yeah,
My
a
God.
couple of stars.
Why is he playing so much?
Take a week off, buddy.
Are you having a kid or not? Jeez.
It was a
Louise.
signature event, so I think there's a bigger purse if you play.
RBC Heritage.
Yeah, the Heritage.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
lot of the pros like that tournament.
Yeah, he's tight on money. He needs to.
If you guys were that great at golf, you'd want to play.
I'd never stop playing.
all the time.
Oh, I
You guys are
wish.
You guys are sitting here saying, "Why is he playing
we
so
all
much?"
suck at golf.
If
Because
I
he's
was that-
better
Play
than
like that.
everybody.
If I was that great at golf, I would hate golf because of the amount of time that I need to dedicate to golf to be that great at golf.
But I think what Chris is saying is you just won a green jacket. You just had a kid. Like, take a weekend off.
I don't think he had the kid yet.
No, I don't think
Really?
he had
Yeah.
Oh,
Stubborn one.
huh.
Oddly enough, he wasn't willing to leave the RBC for the
Wait, you
kid.
think he had the kid in between Sunday at the Masters and this weekend?
That's what I thought.
If
yeah.
he had the kid, it would explain why he's playing so much golf.
Billy, what do you feel like you're great at? If you're saying I don't want to put in the effort to be great.
No, I didn't say I don't want to put in the effort to be great. I never said that. Don't put those words in my mouth.
What you said is that kind of greatness, you would hate golf because of the effort that you had to put in to be that great.
I would be tired of playing golf if I was that great at golf because of how much time and effort I would dedicate to golf. It would be boring to me at that point. It'd become a chore.
Stugotz has proven you can dedicate a lot of time to it and not be that good.
Yes, I have.
It's actually stunning.
While telling everybody how great he is at golf. That's the thing.
I can't believe how average he is at golf for how much golf he plays. Like the one time that I played with him, I was like,
Yeah.
this is,
I'm
Same.
actually impressed by Stu on the golf course because he clearly has a herniated disc somewhere. Like there's an
like
injury
5 of
out
them,
there,
yes,
but
yeah.
he is swinging away.
L2, L3, L4, and I believe now L6 and L7. I believe. I haven't
That's
been
what
to
a
the
lot of
doctor.
Ls.
in the draft,
Yes, I know.
Stugotz's cure, instead of stretching self-care for all that ails his back for years, is to get the shot that pregnant women get
The big shot.
to give birth, the epidural shot. That is, it's not to repair anything. It's just simply to soak it in medicines.
It's a bridge to the next shot.
Put it on the poll at LeBatardShow. Is Stugotz's golf game a medical shot as a bridge to another medical shot? I have to make it a medical shot because the shots in golf is
I got it.
called shots.
It's a good one, Dan.
It's not a good one. I just have to make
It's a whelming one,
the
then.
tortured explanation. Roy, go sit outside.
I mean, come on. It's a
Go
callback.
Go sit. It's not that I didn't understand the joke.
2 minutes
I
for a
understand.
callback.
It's not that-
You're explaining jokes, too, so.
I know, but I was apologizing for explaining.
Well, I
the
apologize
joke.
as well, so you-
Well, you're penalized for saying it as well.
Do the Heat fans all feel a little bad because of how excited they were to beat the Bulls in the play-in, and then what happened on Sunday just put them back into like, oh yeah, that's why we were in the play-in? Like, you feel weird, right? It's a weird weekend.
It's hard to see how the Miami Heat are going to win a game in that series because Boston has gotten a good deal better. And if they're going to be healthy, never mind if they shoot like that. If they shoot like that, you have no chance. But, Stugotz, they often shoot like that. I told you earlier this season, there was a game they had in which all 5 of their guys made 3 threes. It was the first time, 5 starters. It was the first time, I think it's happened 3 times ever, and they've done it twice this year. Their shooting is ridiculous.
They had 3 guys with 4 threes in game 1 against the Heat. They had Porzingis. They had White, who's been great. He has been great. And they had your boy Hauser.
I would push back that Heat fans were excited after beating the Bulls. We didn't have Jimmy. It was pretty... we won that game, but
other people were speaking
Jeremy
for the Heat fan after that game. You had Chicago announcers saying Heat culture is a real thing. Spo was basically setting you up for the loss to the Celtics when he said you have to earn your playoff appearance. It's not something that can be given to you, and I don't take for granted making the playoffs. So just telling you, hey, we're still relevant in a sense. My question for you on the Celtics is, do you like watching them play? Isn't that the style of basketball that people just get annoyed by? It's just like tic-tac-toe, easy 3.
If you don't like it, then you don't like what the modern game has become in general. Because they're the ones who have perfected it. They're doing that better than anybody in the league is doing it. So you may have objections.
Golden State started it, though, right? I mean...
Yes, but they're doing it better now than anybody. And if you don't like the way they're playing, and they're plenty, Stugotz, Trae Young's available by trade right now. He doesn't play any defense, but the evolution of the game has bothered a great many people because of how it is that you're playing along the perimeter and shooting from a million feet away. And all of a sudden, what you used to like about the post and playoff basketball is gone.
Trae Young.
I thought I stepped right on that one. I thought exactly what Stu did. I thought of the Warriors, and that's when I watching them play, I'm like, well, wait a second. It's not just Steph and Clay here. All these guys can hit this 3, and they're going to hit it at a ridiculous clip. And 4 out of 7, not 1 out of 7 games, 4 out of 7 games, they're probably going to shoot it like that. And what are you going to do about it? And so I think that where, you know, the real basketball fans want to see Jaylen Brown cross you over and dunk. They just want to see him get into the lane, 3 more passes, that's a wide open 3. I'm not saying it's boring. I love basketball. I just think that this is where the fans who don't love basketball don't love watching this. And Jason Tatum having a triple-double, but I don't even remember a play outside of him getting clipped.
I'd go another route on this. I would say that I would have preferred the Heat lose against the Bulls so I didn't have to watch what I'm about to watch.
But imagine the Bulls playing the Celtics. If you thought Sunday was bad,
but
with
Dan's
the
saying he'd rather watch that.
I mean,
you just wouldn't watch it.
No, I just wouldn't want to watch it. That's right. You've got it right. But Atlanta, I would have liked seeing Atlanta against the Celtics just because they played them tough a couple times this season.
Kobe White had a night on the beach, huh? I mean,
Trade Young.
Kobe White was not very good down here, but that game feels like it was a million years ago. That game against the Chicago Bulls.
It does. And really, like, when I think of Heat fans reacting to that game, I'm just thinking about how last night I opened TikTok and the first video I saw was Jeremy reacting to the Bulls, the win over the Bulls from Friday night. And I was like, why is he so happy? The Heat just lost today. And then I realized it was like a 3-day-old video. And I was like, that's hilarious.
Suspiciously, Jeremy is out today, doesn't want to deal with any of the shame that would be coming his way. A couple of the moments, though, from the weekend in basketball, Stugotz. Damian Lillard with Giannis out. They drag the Pacers, and Damian Lillard, you are seeing here some B-roll of him on the court. Stephen A. Smith has reported that he's unhappy there. A lot of people are talking about if there's a first-round exit, he's going to leave Milwaukee or want to be out of Milwaukee. But this part feels good, where he's at the center of everything. He's been at Coachella the last couple of years during the playoffs. He was lamenting that. And here you can see him mouthing, "This is why you brought me here. This is what you brought me here for." But for me, the thing that I wanted to analyze with you guys because of how disrespectful it was. So Anthony Edwards has said that Kevin Durant is his favorite player. And on the court, you can see him mouthing, some form of "you can't bleeping guard me" when Kevin Durant is on him. Go ahead and enroll that. And so he hits the three in his face, and as they're running down the court, he says to me, "What the bleep did I tell you?" And calls him an old ass right to his face. And the camera angle, unfortunately, shows Kevin Durant's bald spot as he's calling him an old ass.
Think the cameraman went for that? I mean,
I don't think so. I do
to miss it.
I do think it's wildly disrespectful, and I'm confused by it because I know that insults can be a language of intimacy among men. But when you respect someone enough to call them your favorite player of all time, how does Kevin Durant feel running up the court and nodding, "Yeah, I'm old"?
You're undercutting yourself at the knees when you're like, "Oh, I just busted your ass. Oh, but you're old, so I shouldn't really give myself that much credit for it." Which is it?
The Timberwolves liked calling the Clippers old on the sidelines, and you saw, Stugotz, why in that OKC game, why some people don't trust youth in the playoffs, because youth can be knuckleheaded. But Durant is smiling at being called old. He is smiling in Edwards' face.
I mean, he gets it, right? It's kind of like the passing of the torch, that kind of thing.
What do you mean he gets it?
I mean, he grew up idolizing Kevin Durant. Now he's playing against Kevin Durant and beating him.
But guess what, though? It's disrespectful, and as he says it in his face, my guess is the competitor in Kevin Durant is made agitated by it. In this game, they happen to be down 25, but I'm guessing he's smiling in a way that thinks vengeance. He's not smiling in a way that thinks he's actually happy about that.
He should have said back, "You're young and you're a knucklehead." That would have been a good comeback. Youth can be knuckleheaded. You knucklehead.
You tell me how it is that Kevin Durant, you imagine that he's receiving being told that he's old in a game that he's down 25. Because Allen Iverson, when he crossed over Michael Jordan famously at the top of the key, kept it polite. He didn't say anything.
Well, Jordan wasn't old yet.
Well, this is what Kevin Durant is about. Like Kevin Durant, he's almost the prototype real hooper, is he not? And so the real hoopers, you can take the smack talk, especially when it comes with this level of, I know it sounds asinine, respect from Anthony Edwards, because he's not doing this to anybody else. He says out loud, he's my favorite player ever. Me personally, I would treat my favorite player ever quite differently if I met him or played it against him. But yeah, this is how he treats him, and Katie's all about it.
I'm trying to envision a scenario. What's he doing in this scenario, being respectful down the court? Like, what does the opposite of that look like? Like guiding down the court? Like, here you go, come, guys. Can I guide you down?
Sorry,
the
I'm
court,
doing
man.
this to you, Kevin.
Just
Across
silence.
the street, just fine.
Just silence. Silence would be more respectful.
Let your play speak.
It's just I'm more respectful than calling him an old ass.
It's more respectful than what Chris calls his dad.
Yeah.
To say it right in his face when the league is indeed sort of at the point where you expect it to be taken from Kevin Durant.
Well, they were probably going back and forth all game, right? And we just have one isolated clip. I'm sure Kevin Durant talked crap to him.
Oh, but I'm
too,
talking
throughout
about the
game.
specifics of the insult. Is what I'm like the place
Well, he
where
didn't seem to care. He
the
was just
play
kinda
where it
laughing
lands, and maybe he doesn't care, but I would care about that. Is what
You
I
would care if somebody called you old.
If I'm
It's not an opinion, it's a fact.
If I'm in the position that Durant's in, when how often's he been a 6 seed? Like where you see it slipping away, where you see you have to play on their court and you're down 25, and the Beal Booker thing's not good enough this year.
So this is a don't poke the bear situation for you.
No, I'm saying poke the bear. The bear's old. Like I'm saying, fine.
Well, that's what Edwards is saying.
It's no
It's an
problem.
old-ass bear.
But what I'm asking you guys is, you guys are saying Kevin Durant is indeed smiling and meaning it, and I'm like, I don't think so. I'm saying that one hurts in the places you don't talk about at cocktail
I think
parties.
game one. I think game one. This is like it's a long series, Rook. Like he's like, okay, see if you're laughing when it's over.
Kevin Durant's 35. Sports are insane.
He's the age of Nicholas Batum.
So it hurts
He's old.
in the anus?
I was hearing from some people over the weekend, Stugotz, asking the specifics of what you're doing for the NFL draft, where it is that you will be, if people will be able to see you, interact with you, meet and greet with you.
I'll be in Detroit-ish, around the area.
Like when you say around the area, you mean like Ann Arbor?
Well, you know what? I asked Billy what I'm doing for draft week, and he said you'll be in Detroitish, and so that's where I'm going to be. I think we're doing something Thursday night, a live watch along for the first round up until the Dolphins pick at a DraftKings sportsbook in the Detroitish area.
But you don't know which one it is?
It's
so that you
DraftKings
can
Sports
tell
and Social.
people?
Yeah, DraftKings Sport and Social in Michigan. If you want to go, you can go hang out there. I'm intentionally not telling Stugotz exactly where it is because I need him to get on the plane and get there.
On the bird?
And then once he gets there, he'll get more of the information that he doesn't need to know at the moment. I just need him to get to the airport, get on that plane, and then we're good.
All right.
I think.
Just came back from Detroit.
Yeah. I was surprised to see you today, to be honest with you. I never know what's going on with you. And I'm the person people come to find out what's going on with you.
I'm sorry about that, Billy.
So wait, you're just staying until the Dolphins pick? Don't they have like the 21st pick around there?
It's going to be a long night. Yeah, we're going to be on from 8 p.m. until the Dolphins pick-ish is the plan
You're
right
skipping
now.
the next 11.
Well, I mean,
who cares?
you have to pay for internet. It's not free. You know what I mean? We're not going to be here until 1 a.m. watching teams pick. We need to know what the Chiefs are going to do at the end of the first round. Who cares? So we'll be here. Stugotz will be in Detroit-ish with Mike Ye. They're going to be reacting live all Wednesday. Stugotz is going to be talking to some draft picks. We're going to be checking in with him. We're going to be checking in with the fans that are there with him in Detroit-ish, Michigan. We're going to be checking in with Lucy, who's going to be on the ground. She's going to be doing some off-roading. We're going to be checking in with her for fan reaction. I'll be here manning the ship, Dan. Don't you worry about that. Jess will be here. Tony will be here. Juju will be here. Chris will be here, I believe. Everyone's welcome to attend. Whoever wants to be here is free to come if you'd like.
Dan?
Yeah, no thanks.
Why not? The NFL draft?
I hate all drafts.
Why?
Because I hate them all.
No, he doesn't want us to make fun of his popcorn again.
You guys should be so honored that I would make popcorn for you on a draft.
Can
I
you?
will not. No, I will not be partaking in anything draft related.
Why not?
Deliver?
Because I hate the draft.
It's a big day for the company.
We've already covered
Yes.
this.
Yeah. It's a big draft. It is.
I don't care.
What are the
any
Dolphins going to pick? They got a lot of
more
needs.
about the draft than I did before.
Right. I'm going to it. I mean,
I know.
Yeah.
And there are 16, the top 16 picks. There are a lot of quarterbacks needed. So you guys are going to convince yourself that J.J. McCarthy's a great professional quarterback?
Tell me why he's not.
Yeah.
Because I saw him play all of last year, and his coach tried to hide him
National
before,
champion.
before getting that 15-0 tattoo that he got this
Draft
weekend.
To be
expert, huh?
fair, they didn't need to throw a lot, so.
That's right. And that is my indication that if they were good at throwing, my guess is they would have.
You know what would be fun to do this week? Let's draft drafts. We'll go around and we'll draft our favorite drafts. Like I would take the NFL draft first.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, that would be my
So
first
would your
pick.
military draft be last or first?
Oh, I'm not taking that.
I
Are
mean,
you?
It's on the
doesn't
board.
exist anymore. But yeah.
Thanks
It
for
could.
thanks for your service, or is it? Would you put it? You wouldn't put it last, right? You'd put it somewhere else just to be politically correct, so that you couldn't be too controversial by calling it the worst and the most un-American of drafts, even though it was at one time very American.
DraftKings would be number one, of course.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
with you
Yeah.
guys.
I think
Chris
like
made a
a
bad
draft
pick.
Miller Lite would be in there somewhere.
Miller Lite draft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The draft, you get up your shorts when you ride a roller coaster with that underwear.
I love
Yeah,
that.
real drafty.
Oh,
Yeah.
can't relate.
Oh,
That
well,
sounds like a good one.
Is it a good one?
Never been on a roller
Is
coaster.
it the draft up your? Put it up on the poll, please, Juju at Le Batard Show. Is the draft up your shorts on the roller coaster a good draft
When you're not wearing underwear.
When you're not wearing?
I'm just going by Stugotz's word here.
That's the key. No underwear.
Is it the king? That's the key to the correct draft, is it?
You're welcome.
Why are you taking thanks?
Just
for
because
this?
that was a good 2 minutes we did there.
Yeah.
Draft talk.
Content.
Well, we haven't done it yet. We were just talking about how the
The
draft
Mystery
may play
Crate
out.
Halloween
Yeah.
candy draft, one of my all-time favorite drafts.
I won that draft.
Is that where we did?
No,
we
you
had to
didn't.
have a candy and
Chris
a
Whittingham
broadcaster.
lost. No, I think that was just that was when Chris took Tootsie Rolls first overall.
Terrible pick.
Which is such a bad pick.
Terrible.
You want the list of 13 centers who are allegedly better than Bam, according to somebody whose basketball analysis.
I'm in the mood for a laugh.
Somebody whose
really
basketball analysis
trust.
you no longer respect.
I
Just
really
say
Who
it.
is this
Just say
person?
it.
So none
I'm
of us
dying
respect
to
this
know.
person?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nope, I cannot tell you because that is
Sparkly.
a betrayal.
Huh.
I don't know that I would say that I trust all of Charles' basketball analysis. He says a lot of things. I was sad to see the other day, though, that Charles Barkley's show with Gayle King was canceled after 6 months, at least in part because he doesn't have time to devote to being available all the time for that show. Now, I do not agree with this list, but I will tell you, for example, Stugotz, when it comes to Tyler Hero and the Miami Heat's assessments of Tyler Hero, there have been a couple of things in the past that I have relayed about the Miami Heat's assessment of Tyler Hero that have been controversial things. One of them was saying that the Miami Heat thought that he should be aspirationally someone who looked to be like Devin Booker. And more recently, what I said, compounding off of that opinion, is that Tyler Hero is as good as Tyrese Maxey, which he has not been. But what you saw from Jaquez in that first game where he was fearless, we used to say that about Tyler Hero.
Yes.
How fearless he was as a young person. But I do think that one of the things that's finally happening after 5 years, Stugotz, of Boston and Miami fighting at the top of that conference is Miami's mid-first round picks, Bam and Tyler, have hit where their ceilings are, and Boston's higher picks, the better talents according to the draft that haven't needed sort of organizational culture, their higher picks are now growing with compliments and building into a place where Tatum and Brown, their physical skill sets, were drafted higher than Bam and Tyler's and Jimmy. Not that that's always the measurement, but in this case, when it came time to just taking skill sets, Boston has the guys that are taken at the top of the first round, and Miami has the guys that they're doing the most they can with from the middle of the first round. Izzy, what is your assessment as someone who has covered basketball for a long time? What's happened with Tyler Hero? Because I did expect some jumps here that would allow him to be someone who, as a number one, could give you the 40-point game if you needed it. You're not going to be as good as you were with Jimmy Butler, but you weren't going to be that 11-point crud where he's taking a ton of bad shots. You don't believe any of them are going in. You need him to make something from 25 feet, and he's starting a game again. 2 of the last 3, 1 for 9 or 2 for 11.
Yeah, so my take on Tyler is he's ridiculously skilled. I think where you had the comparison to Devin Booker, the part that was sort of you didn't really know was going to happen was his size. Would he fill out? Devin Booker's got a barrel chest. He's got some arms to him, right? He can sort of fend off of contact. Tyler Hero looks frail. He looks so thin out there that when he takes a jumper, it looks like it's affected by the wind somehow. I don't know. It's just really weird. And so
the ball or him?
The ball. Both.
By a draft,
Both.
would you say?
By a draft, actually, yeah. Thank you, Chris.
The draft of his shorts when he's not wearing underwear. Make it a roller coaster for all of us.
You're welcome.
And so, yeah, I just don't think the physicality and this season has been probably the worst possible scenario for Tyler because at some point in the middle of the season, the rest just swallowed their whistles. And so when it was a point where everybody hated the game because everything was a ticky-tack foul, that's a great place for somebody like Tyler because he's ridiculously skilled. But if you have to take on all this contact or if you let people bully you and just take the ball away from you more often than you see most players that happen to, you don't feel like you belong there for certain stretches. And then all of a sudden you'll have him see a game where he scores 30 and has 10 rebounds and 6 assists, and you say, okay, Tyler Hero is a great number 2 or 3 option on a team. It is very difficult to be a lead guy on a playoff team. Even if it's number 8, it's ridiculously hard.
That does happen a lot to him, where he's just dribbling and they take the ball away from him. It's an unusual amount. I also think, Stugotz, that people vastly underestimate when watching the likes of James Harden and Kawhi Leonard how physically strong those human beings are. Like, even among people who are physically strong, James Harden and Kawhi Leonard, what their core strength is like something that you probably couldn't fathom if it was posting up on you. Kawhi Leonard, again, getting just scorched over the weekend by Stephen A. Smith and others because of his lack of availability, Stugotz. And I just would be super frustrated. Anthony Davis has this reputation, played a ton of games this year, but I would be super frustrated if I were Kawhi Leonard or Joel Embiid and I was trying to play all the time. And all sorts of things were getting in the way of my availability, and now the media, because my body is betraying me,
Right.
is turning me into someone who's not available. When, given how little Kawhi Leonard he talks, I'm genuinely curious whether he's deeply resentful that he feels like San Antonio did this to him. That San Antonio's doctors and its care, given how quiet he is, given that he left there, given that he was a bit of a problem at the end that Popovich was talking about as a problem, it makes me wonder whether some of the things that he's dealing with, because I don't think it's an absence of care, Stugotz. I don't think Kawhi Leonard...
Oh, no, I think Kawhi cares, and I think he has to be upset at the organization, the Spurs organization, for doing, at least in his mind, physically, what they did to him. Yeah, that has to be frustrating. But I also understand guys like Stephen A. Smith coming out and saying, hey, it's the playoffs. Play. Let's go.
I know, but Stugotz, he would if he could.
You're seeing that from Joel Embiid. He wouldn't be playing right now if it was the regular season. He's only doing it because it's the postseason and because he's had so many missed opportunities. This is the frustrating part if you're Kawhi Leonard, if you're Joel Embiid. If I'm Kawhi, I don't even look back at the San Antonio experience because I've had years of doctors being able to treat it. You would think that I would be able to get on the other side of this. But it just keeps happening at the wrong time. And you say to yourself every year, hey, if he's played 20 straight games, maybe this is the year. And then it happens again. And what can you do about that but be frustrated?
He, in his last 8 games, has shot under 50%, last 8 playoff games. That is not him. But he almost went out with what I thought was a career-ending injury that would have been the greatest I've ever seen, which is throwing it off the backboard, dunking, and then just being done for the year. Like doing that to Mitchell Robinson, like just the pride and ego. What a great male way to go out. Just, I'm going to do something so very masculine and also incredibly dumb. We're going to do 2 live hours over the course of this week, so it won't just be on DraftKingsNetwork.com or YouTube for an hour. We're going to be going basically 9 through 11 over the course of the week, and I do want to get to Stugotz's thoughts on Joel Embiid, but before I do so, the source whose basketball knowledge you guys do not trust, but I generally do, knows that this person, he knows that he's in the minority with this and says 9 of these aren't even debatable. That he can give you 5 if he's being charitable, but 9 are not debatable.
So which of the 4 that we can debate?
I'm just going to give you the list, and you
Will
guys
you tell us the 4 so we know? Because
We'll
if
know
it's
the 4,
non-debatable, we shouldn't be allowed to debate it. But when we get to the 4, then we can go.
Jokic, Embiid, Anthony Davis, Wembanyama, Holmgren, Sabonis, Porzingis.
That's where the debate starts for me. You were cooking.
Porzingis?
I got 2 debates already.
Can he be moved off Porzingis? Is that one of the guys? Or
Nurkic.
Whose list is this?
Nurkic.
Just telling you. That's obviously one of the debatable ones.
Huh.
How are you feeling so far? Because all
I got 4 debatables already, and 1 get the hell off my list.
Jokic?
Jaron Allen, Lopez.
Lights Too Bright, Jared Allen?
I
That
feel like we've gotten to the debatable ones.
Splash Mountain?
Sengun,
You have got to be kidding me.
Sengun?
Hartenstein.
No.
I'm
No.
This is not
No.
It's not my list. I'm just passing it along. You guys
You
do
sure it wasn't the other way around? 4 debatable and then 9 absolutely not?
Well, no, it's the same thing. It would be 9 debatable and 4 absolutely not.
I think we do a very poor job in general of analyzing the defense of players, but I also would say, Stugotz, that in the modern age, and you're seeing it presently with the difficulties the Heat offense is having and why it is that they need to be trading for Rozier, I think spreading the floor is something that is more important now than it has ever been. And he's more limited there than the guys, than some of the guys that I mentioned who can continually bring out somebody else's rim defender because they are on the perimeter. Again, that's not my list, but the reason that I was having the conversation is at least in part because I was legitimately confused in that game against Philadelphia how it is that Bam is having a game where he's taking 9 shots and getting no free throws, and he's being paid like that. The payment comes with expectations. You've seen Tyreek Hill say recently, Stugotz, on a podcast, he was saying that Mike McDaniel questioned him, called him out after the Kansas City game by saying, among other things, like, why are we paying you like that? Aren't you one of the best paid players in the league? Aren't you one of the best players in the league? For those of you who think that Mike McDaniel is meek or too buddy-buddy, saying like, I would never say that to a player of any kind, never mind Tyreek Hill. I would not remind him how much money he is making while questioning how good he is in a playoff game.
Nurkic? Better than Bam Adebayo. That is absolutely insane.
Bam is on the Olympic roster, and a lot of these guys
Captain Bamerica.
I like that.
Don't take it up with somebody else.
Well, some of
Tell
these centers aren't
Stan,
American.
by the way, that he can never put a list together ever again.
Only a
Bingo.
couple, Billy.
No.
Wasn't Stan?
Not 14.
Tell
I'm
Jeff.
I'm not playing this game with you guys anymore, though, where I continually deny the sources until you find out who
I mean,
it is.
it's just a little like, oh, I'm just going to give you this list, but you can't make fun of who made it because maybe I made it, and then I will sound crazy for putting Nurkic on it.
Oh, what a theory.
It's not my list.
How many times did somebody play the Washington Wizards the last few years and say, oh no, Porzingis is going to make life difficult on me? Get out of here. Yusuf Nurkic?
That's the one, huh?
Again, 5 of these are debatable. But if I'd said to you before the segment started that 9 weren't, if I said to you before the segment
You would
started,
still be wrong.
I
That
will-
list is not correct.
I would not put him outside of my top 9. I value him, his defense, and the things that he does.
But
Put
does,
your name on the list.
does Nurkic spread the floor? He doesn't hit threes. He's worse than Bam, I believe.
He got Draymond suspended, basically. It's all he did.
So Donald leaves Miami for 5 minutes, and all of a sudden, secretly throwing shade.
The Lakers-Nuggets series, Stugotz, after all of the disrespect throughout the offseason of Mike Malone and when they were playing last, you realize the Nuggets have now beaten the Lakers 9 straight times. I don't believe that the Lakers have anything that can beat Denver 4 out of 7 games, even though I think Denver's worse than they were last year. Not by much, Stugotz, but I think the things that Bruce Brown and Jeff Green gave them are things that can be missed now when you have young people. But Denver is not just the reigning champion. They're the reigning champion who disrespected the Lakers in a way that was fairly obvious. But now Jokic is saying that the Lakers gave us more trouble than anybody last year, even though they swept the Lakers and, again, haven't lost.
Those were very close games, though. I mean, all 4 of them.
But the Minnesota games for Denver were close, too, and some of the Miami games were, too, and they swept the Lakers. They haven't lost to them in 9 straight tries.
Tell Nick Wright we don't agree with his list, all right?
Why do you think Nick Wright is somebody
Nick wrong.
who is...
Well, they're not close anymore. He didn't invite Dan to his vow renewal.
That's
Oh,
right.
no.
Yeah, you're right.
You think of Nick Wright as somebody who's very good at basketball player evaluation?
I don't know. You won't tell us who it is.
wow.
Yes.
There's one way to
Yeesh.
quickly end this speculation, Dan.
Yes, thank you, Billy. I'm not going to do that. I've already mentioned
Samson.
that I'm not going to do that. You could keep doing that if you want. Did I get ball sacked, or is this Francis Weiss quote right about Joel Embiid and how mad he is about Joel Embiid at one time asking to play for the French national team? And Frederick Weiss, what do you think of when I say that name, Stugotz?
Vince Carter dunking.
Yeah, that's basically the only thing I think
Speaking of getting ball sacked.
That's correct. Vince Carter jumped over this person in an Olympic game and just jumped over the entirety of his head. It wasn't even like the draping of the dong on the shoulder. It was just right over his head. And this
Not a lot of time for that, Dan.
This is how Frederick Weiss is quoted. This is what he's quoted as saying. He's the Olympic silver medalist. The French won the silver medal after he was jumped over by Vince Carter. Again, he's 7'2", so it was a pretty memorable dunk to be jumped over. I consider this boy a great player. As much as he is a dirty guy, I hate him for the things that he did. I think he doesn't have any respect for France and also for all the people who are asking for a French passport and don't get it. And under the pretext that he is a great athlete, he got it. I find it scandalous. I find it embarrassing. I don't care about his excuses because they are his words, and his words mean nothing.
Why he's taking people out, huh? I mean,
ouch.
Yeah, that hurts.
Frederick Weiss, it's the best defense he's ever played.
It's legitimately the only thing that I know about Frederick Weiss is that.
I mean, boy.
Yeah, that's not
Get
great.
out of here,
Yeah,
man.
that's not great. Yes, that's not great. I do feel, though, Joel Embiid, though, I guess Cameroon, we're not playing for Cameroon. Joel Embiid is playing for America.
Yeah.
We're not quite overwhelming enough.
I'm tired of Joel Embiid. I got to be honest with you. Every 10 seconds, it's drama. He's either hurt, he's on the floor, he's grabbing his shorts, he's grabbing his ankles, he's bent over, he's tired, he's mad at a teammate, he's mad at a referee. He's never mad at himself, though.
Stu.
Never mad at himself. And then that boneheaded decision, when you're already hurt, to toss one off the backboard and throw it home at the Mecca. Are you crazy? That was the dumbest decision in the history of NBA decisions. It was.
And what's he doing at the free throw line on the tech where he thought it was short and goes immediately to his knees? I don't think I could do that with two healthy knees, especially not at his size.
That was weird.
You're tired of Joel Embiid?
Just that everyone talking about this generational big man. He does things that no other big man has ever done. You know what he doesn't do? He doesn't win. He doesn't stay healthy. He doesn't stop complaining. He doesn't every 10 seconds reach down and act like he's the most exhausted guy on the NBA court. It's annoying, Dan. He's become annoying. You want to know why? He hasn't won anything. Bam's better.
You said that's the dumbest decision in the history of basketball decisions?
Roy, you're already hurt. And you're doing that type of dunk at Madison Square Garden. What are you doing?
You forget about J.R. Smith?
Oh.
It just looks like it hurts to be Joel Embiid.
It
That's
does.
my take on him.
Yeah.
It just that looks painful.
Just being
All of
him.
it. Yes.
Yeah.
There is no one in the sport better at letting you know he's tired.
I mean, thank you.
Wow.
Luka.
No. And enough of him, too.
Embiid's good at it.
If I have one more person tell me Luka, the best offensive player they've ever seen in the history of the NBA, get the hell out of
You've
here.
only had one person tell you
Well,
that.
get the hell out of here, whoever that one person was.
And take your list with you, Stan.
It's not Stan's list.
It has to be.
What do you mean it has to be?
If it was, you probably would say it wasn't to protect him.
If it's Matt Barnes' list, that's okay. I'm not going to tell him anything.
If it's not Stan, it's Justin.
Have we named the person already?
I'd be so tired of hearing from all of you if I were Joel Embiid and my body just didn't work right and I'd had 8 straight under 50% efficiency games because I keep trying to get out there because it's an important time of year and the process has nothing to show for the process other than me. There's like nothing. They had all these first-round picks, and they needed to hit on 2 of them, and they only hit on 1.
Well, whose fault is that? I mean,
Not his. Not his. What, are you going to blame him?
If he played for the Heat, you guys would be like, "Oh my, everyone's so mean to him. He can't control how his body has failed him."
I'm
If he
doing
played
that.
for the Heat, he'd be at 9% body fat and probably wouldn't have all these issues.
I'm doing that, and he doesn't play for the Heat. I do feel
Yet.
bad for him. He doesn't play for the Heat yet.
It's your list, isn't it?
No,
Val's?
it is. It's Valerie's list. I heard for the first time, Stugotz, a theory I had not heard on the bogus and unfair claim around the nation that has sort of sunk into the Miami Heat fan base, where people say of the Heat fan base that it is not a fan base that is present all the time. Even though they've sold out every game since 2010. It's a longer streak than the Warriors. It's the 6th longest streak in NBA history. You start playoff games early for the Miami Heat. If you know anything about what's happening in Miami traffic these days and the specifics of how poorly we're built Bayside, you would know how hard it is to get to that arena on time. But my mother, who is somebody who is constantly helping people, Stugotz, and adults who come to this country and end up in the life of my mother, she gave a couple of guys new to this country from Somalia some Heat tickets. And I now have a theory for what's happening at Heat games that leaves it somewhat sparsely populated, because I think this is happening all over the place at Heat games. They hadn't been to a Heat game before and are new to this culture in general. Everybody at halftime got up, and so they got up and left because they thought it was over.
Oh, no.
I don't know about that.
Thank you, Billy. I wasn't
explain
serious.
the first
Thank
quarter.
you, Billy. At least you didn't say it while eating your breakfast. You don't know about that. You're questioning it. You don't think that's what's happening with 10,000 people?
Was it your
Okay.
mom's list?
Have we gotten to the point yet, Stugotz? I was asking Jessica this, where Jackson Dart and Quinn Ewers, the Texas quarterback, they're getting private planes now as part of their NIL deals. And,
I love that.
I do too, but I'm wondering when the backlash is going to start on not loving that, on people not loving that. Because sure, I love that for college football, less for the environment.
But for college football, it's great. It is. But you think people are going to start getting angry at how much college kids are making playing college sports?
I would think, Stugotz, that if you were going to get angry about that, about the place that you would get angry about it is Ole Miss's quarterback getting a private plane NIL deal.
I'm old enough to remember when people said if you drove a fancy car, if you were part of a college team, that your teammates would resent you. I remember Teddy Dupay at the University of Florida. I guess his dad was a doctor or something, driving around a Lexus, and he also had a little illegal gambling ring, whatever. But yeah, people were saying, wow, Teddy Dupay, like, why are you showing off all this money?
It was a big deal. You're right.
Time to throw away all journalistic credibility and get reckless. Here is something we like to call reckless speculation.
You're good.
I mean, yeah, I'm good. It was reported, and it's already out there.
You have to say it again, though.
25 years ago.
Okay.
But thank you.
You have to say it again.
All right, but I mean, if you're going to accuse someone of a gambling ring,
Not accused.
Okay.
Just telling a story that actually happened. Also, we share the same birthday.
It was a big deal when Corey Maggette was driving around Duke with a Corvette. It was a big deal. People were upset about that.
Izzy, go ahead and
See?
sit in the penalty box. Put it on the poll.
Wow.
At Le Batard Show. Do you care at all that Izzy and Teddy share a birthday?
And Derek Jeter.
Corey Mavetti.
Yeah,
Jeez.
Remember when LeBron James couldn't play high school games because he got a Hummer?
Is that true that he couldn't? I remember it was a controversy, but I don't remember him actually being suspended. Did he
Phrasing.
actually
Yeah, they
miss?
suspended him, and then I think
Phrasing.
that they went. I'll look it up.
Jeez. Are Cybertrucks the new Hummers? Like, they're an ugly big truck that don't make a lot of sense to own, and now they're being recalled.
The Hummer is and always has been hugely confusing to me as a vanity vehicle. So uncomfortable, so clunky, so ridiculous. Just not a comfortable ride in any way.
Really?
I mean,
I saw one as a kid, and I always thought it was kind of cool. But like the old, like the H1, like the original, like Army style Hummers. Now they have electric Hummers, which I feel like Mr. Hummer is like rolling over in his grave. The idea of an electric Hummer.
They really tried to make that into the next Jeep, which is a military vehicle turned into a civilian vehicle.
Yeah.
Like, it just did not work.
You tried out a Hummer?
I've been in
Little test drive?
a Hummer, and I found the shock absorption not to be great. Just like I don't find it to be great in the Jeep either. because I find that. But the Hummer is a ridiculously boxy vehicle that he doesn't know where the penalty box is.
No.
Is he just walking around?
He's just walking around.
I saw him ask for directions.
Like John Travolta.
I saw the rest of you just point out to him where it is that he has to go.
I feel like if you were mad about athletes being paid by brands, you were already mad, and the private jet is not going to like find a new group of people that are newly angry. Like those people have been angry for a few years.
Greg Cody. Yeah.
I mean, the idea, Stugotz,
Is it Greg's list?
of a private jet for a college quarterback is a space that I never imagined in my wildest imagination of when the injustices stopped in college sports, that they would stop so thoroughly that they would overcorrect there. Is a place that I did not have anywhere in my wildest imagination. As I mentioned, Brian Scalabrini is going to join us. He has said the thing. He has accused the Miami Heat of dirty play, Caleb Martin of dirty play, Eric Spoelstra of ordering the Code Red. Every time I now hear of Code Red, what I think of, Stugotz, is the missed opportunity of our show to sign Shannon Sharpe to a long-term contract when he asked for some money after doing this on our show.
We live in a world that has walls, and these walls have to be guarded by men with guns. Who's going to do it? You, Lieutenant Weinberg. I have a greater responsibility than you could possibly fathom. You weep for Santiago, you curse the ring. You have that luxury. You have the luxury of not knowing what I know. Santiago's death, while tragic, probably saved lives. And my appearance, grotesque and incomprehensible to you, saves lives. You don't want the truth, because deep down in places at parties, you don't talk about it. You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall. We use words like honor, code, loyalty. We use these words on the backbone of a lifetime spent defending something. You use them as a punchline. I have the time nor the inclination to explain myself to a man that rises and sleeps under the blanket of freedom that I provide, and then question the manner in which I provide it.
Ethan Skolnick, Stugotz of 5 Reasons Sports, they do a great job covering the Miami Heat. They are feuding with Kendrick Perkins and, in general, ESPN, saying that ESPN's coverage is embarrassing, at least in part, because Kendrick Perkins is saying that the Miami Heat can shoot 100% from all parts of the field and they will still get swept by the Boston Celtics. And
that is ridiculous. I mean, the Heat would win. Right?
That is correct. If they shot 100% from the field, they would indeed win. That is true. That is not great analysis. I very much enjoyed all of the basketball coverage from ESPN. I do think we get very used to difficult things being done well. So when they have a glitch in audio at the beginning of the Orlando-Cleveland game, they catch a lot of slack because their playoff coverage is beginning that way. But I thought the coverage, the games especially, great. Not. I'm talking about the coverage of the games, not the actual games. Right. I'm talking about the games. But the studio shows in general, that's something that Adam Silver and the NBA has had a problem with almost the entire time that I've known of ESPN, and that they've had studio shows, because it's always compared against the standard, which is Barkley and TNT, and it always pales compared to that. But you're just filling a lot of studio shows with noise and noise in tight spaces, and so some dumb things are going to be said because you just exist to get to the next batch of commercials. You're there giving 90 seconds of analysis and getting out. It seems like a waste of time.
It's an unfair comparison, or standard, isn't it, from Adam Silver? Like, to compare what ESPN is doing against TNT. It is the greatest pregame show in the history of
I'm just telling you,
games.
the reason they've had so much turnover over the years with those studio shows is at least in part because of the NBA's dissatisfaction with those studio shows. They've wanted something better. Brian Scalabrini is in the middle of it right now. He is catching heat from every angle. Clearly, Drew Holiday pushed Caleb Martin into Jason Tatum, but Scalabrini is out here calling dirty play. He is saying that the code red was ordered. So tell me how you imagine, Scalabrini, and it's good to see you again. Tell me how you imagine that code red was ordered. I should tell you on the front end that the reason the timeout was called with a minute and a half left is because he was challenging something on the court. It was not, I don't believe, to tell somebody to injure Jason Tatum.
No, you guys got to understand the code red in the NBA is not we're going to go out there and injure your best player. It's we're getting blown out. We're going to go out like this. This is a 7-game series. We got to make a stand. And I mean, listen, I don't have a problem with the play. Just like I thought the play was Bush League in the sense of he ran into it. He took advantage of it. He braced himself. He ran into Jason Tatum while he's in the air. Normally, that would happen with Tatum falling into the cameraman in the front row, but he got his legs taken out from underneath him. So I thought that was a Bush League play. But also remember, see, I'm not jaded by all this. When Jaylen Brown did that thing to Duncan Robinson, I thought that was Bush League too. And my response when that happened was, I'm not sure the Miami Heat are the team you want to do, like questionable fouls against, because they always will get the last laugh on this one. And that's exactly what happened in that game. And I didn't want a foul to happen to our superstar player where he ends up being out because Jaylen Brown, yanks on Duncan Robinson's arm. But I'm sure when you guys saw that play, you were thinking, oh, I can't believe Jaylen Brown would do this. And then I'm sure when D Wade rolled up on Rondo and almost dislocated his arm, you probably had this, well, what was Rondo doing in the way? So I see it from both sides, and my problem with the people who follow the Miami Heat is you guys only look at it one way.
Well, Scal, let me ask you this, because if it's one thing is as you said, Caleb Martin was trying to be overly physical. Maybe, it's not really in his history. He doesn't really know how to do it and went a little over the top. But I think where people might have had an issue with what you said is the idea that Eric Spoelstra, who, many people believe is the best coach in the league and who has been through this before, would then order that at that point of the game. That, to me, sounds like a disrespectful element of your take there. And so I'm just wondering what it is like, what it sounds like, you touched on it there, when a coach does order the code red, let's say at the beginning of a playoff series like this.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. They show the Jaylen Brown twist on Duncan Robinson's arm. Let's say the Miami Heat show that play 6-7 times in a row before the series. Okay. Is that planting a seed? Is that saying we're not going to let this team do this to us? Is that saying, look at what they did to us. This is what we got to do to them. Are you guys thinking that the Miami Heat went into the series and did not show that play to their players?
I'm thinking that, yes, that play might have been shown. I don't think that they said retaliate in the same way.
No, well, okay. And then do you think that during that timeout, or during any timeout, by the way, do you think that Eric Spoelstra says, come on, guys, we're down by 32. We're just going to lay down and get punked? We're not going to send a message? Now, I'm not saying he said, go run over Tatum and hurt him. I'm saying, come on, guys. We're going to send a message to these guys. We're on a long series right here. This is what we're going to do. Now, if you think that was not said throughout that game when they're getting punked by the Celtics, if you think that was not said, then I think you guys don't buy into your Heat culture of the biggest, strongest, nastiest, toughest team in the NBA. They're the ones that put it down in the paint, right?
Yeah, I believe
they're the ones that
was
lay
said.
it out there.
I believe that was said throughout the game, and I believe the response you saw was in the fourth quarter where they got the game back to 14. This element, this part of the game where Caleb Martin took him out, that was after they showed, hey, we got some fight in us, yada, yada. So this, again, to me, was Caleb Martin just trying to do something, be a little bit overly physical, not really great at it, and maybe got shoved by Drew Holiday. So I just think the implication of the coach ordering that is probably where people are like, I don't know about that.
So this is how you would feel if Draymond Green ran into LeBron James?
Draymond Green and Caleb Martin, two totally
No,
different
I'm just
resumes.
asking the simple question. If Draymond Green went up and just, bam, trucked, let's use any player. The national media is saying, it's all good. It's not a dirty
They're not
play.
saying
Are they
I
saying
Kerr
Steve
ordered
Kerr
it.
ordered the code red, though?
No, I would definitely. No, that historic. The Golden State Warriors don't have the baddest, meanest, nastiest team in the NBA. They don't have that on their in the middle of their court.
Scal, let me help you out.
And by the way, listen, you guys don't get it twisted from my point of view. I love what the Miami Heat do. I love the way they play. Jimmy Butler is a hard guy for me not to like. Like the way that he brings it every single day. I get it. He's hurt and all these things. Like I have zero problem with the Miami Heat. I got zero problem with them. I know that this thing had gone back and forth before. And I told you guys when the Duncan Robinson thing happened and I was on the postgame show, I was like, dang it. Because if we face these guys again, they're going to use this play. And I would hate for one of our guys to go down and them using this play as a rallying cry. Do you really think that the Miami Heat did not use that? Which, by the way, I thought that was a Bush League play by Jaylen Brown as well. So I am just bringing up the simple fact that no one from the Boston media brought this up and no one from the Miami Heat media brought this up. So I have to make sure that you guys understand what the real story is going into game 2, because it is not the Miami Heat beating the Boston Celtics in a 7-game series. The story of this series is this. This is the story of the series.
Scal, let me help you out. Izzy, what he's saying is a code red is not directly ordered. He doesn't say, Caleb, hey, go hurt that guy. He insinuates it. That's all Scal is saying.
So Kelly Oubre did not get the code red. He just accidentally hurt Jimmy, right?
This is from Tim Reynolds. Scalabrini on Sirius NBA Radio repeats his claim this morning that Caleb Martin was dirty and Eric Spoelstra ordered the team to not lay down in the timeout, even made the code red allegation again. He also goes after Miami media for ignoring this, and then the dismount. Hold on.
That's not true.
Hold
that's
on.
Not true.
And then the
If you're
dismount.
going to say, no.
Hold
I'm
on.
Not allow
Hold
Tim
on.
Reynolds
One
to
more
do that.
word.
No.
One more word.
We're not going to just.
Yawn. Yawn is what Reynolds says. Yawn.
I don't care what Reynolds says. I am mad at
I'm with you.
The Boston media at this one. I'm not Miami. Why would they call out Eric Spoelstra? I get that. I'm mad at the Boston media for not challenging Joe Mazzulla in saying, do you think that was a dirty play? 31 seconds after Eric Spoelstra calls a timeout. That's all I said. Look, I have the Miami Heat media, I do not expect them to make this a story. The Boston media, I expect them to make it a story. So listen, I'm just going to be as clear. I'm not ducking or running. I'm saying if you're going to get my word, just get it right. Yes, I think Eric Spoelstra challenged his team. Yes, I think Caleb Martin made a dirty play. Yes, I expect dirty plays throughout this series because the Miami Heat are in an uphill battle. And yes, I was mad at the Boston media for not making this more of a story.
You can't handle the truth.
I've got a couple of questions for you that might be a little bit sacrilegious. Is this the best Boston Celtics team you've ever seen?
I was on the 08 team, so the best team I've ever covered by far. But I would say the margin between them and the next best, you know what? Like, I'm a big fan of the Denver Nuggets. I'm a big fan of Jokic. I just think, they're much better than people want. For whatever reason, people don't love Jokic and love the Denver Nuggets. That dude is nasty, man. He is tough to stop. So the margin between those two teams and the rest of the NBA is wide. But I don't, this team is definitely the best team that I've covered. And I started covering the team in 2012.
Here's the other conversation I want to have with you, and I'm really interested in what your answer is to this. You proved to people a long time ago in a challenge how great you actually are at basketball, people who call you a scrub or whatever, by going after a bunch of guys who challenged you and dusting all of them. When I say the following, you agree or disagree? Sam Hauser is a better long-range shooter than Larry Bird.
He'll never agree. He'll never agree, ever.
Yes or no?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Different era. Yeah, that's easy. You said three-point shooter?
I said long range. I said long-range shooter.
No. Now, Larry Bird grows up in this era. I don't know the answer to that, but dude, Hauser's nasty from three. He grew up living on that line. Larry Bird grew up playing one-on-one, and they played in the paint. So you can't compare the two.
Shot for your life, Scal. This is how we settle it, okay?
It's not how we settle it.
The guy has to you have to choose one of these two guys to hit a three-pointer, and if he misses, you're dead, all right?
Oh, Larry Bird all day.
Thank you. Case closed.
Okay.
You're living, Scal.
Well, wait a minute. What are you
100%.
What are you doing?
It's a different game.
It's a different game,
for sure.
though.
For sure, I'm taking Larry. You want me to live or die? Come on, man.
Sam Hauser.
Sam
really.
Hauser.
You know why?
With your life on the line. I mean,
Because I think Sam Hauser's such a good guy. He'd be like, he would go into it being like, I better not kill Scalabrini. Larry Bird would not give a you-know-what.
Okay, so the reason that Larry Bird is someone you're trusting is because he doesn't care whether or not he ends your life. He just knows he's going to make the three-pointer.
No, that's where you're wrong. That's where you're wrong. He doesn't care whether he ends my life, but he does care about winning basketball games there, and that means more than the pressure of someone dying. That's just the way Larry Bird was. That's how he rolled.
Again, though, those are two different games because you just said flatly something I'm not sure people are willing to agree to because you're right, different eras. But once you start sacrilege against Larry Bird and Michael Jordan's era, I believe a lot of people won't go that way with you. And I'm saying, and you would say, that Hauser as an efficiency specialist is better, period, than Larry Bird from distance.
That's like saying, are people faster than Larry Bird? Yeah, some guys are faster. Larry Bird can shoot the ball. There's no doubt. I mean, this is not really a real conversation. It's not, you can't compare the eras because one guy probably shot threes his whole life from the time he was 10 years old. And the other guy probably didn't have a 3-point line when he started playing. So it's like, it's not actually fair to do the comparison.
I'll decide what's fair and what's not fair around here. You came on here talking about code reds and dirty
You invited
plays.
me on. You invited me on. It's not like I got nothing to do. I got a million things to do today. So you said, by the way, how funny is it? And people, they didn't invite me on after I said what I said. They invited me on before. That's amazing. You guys are amazing.
You're kind of making it sound more like it's like a code yellow or maybe like a code dark orange
or a Baja
light
Blast,
orange.
if
Yellow.
you will, yeah.
But Code Red sounds better. You know, like how many people do you think know the reference of A Few Good Men? A lot or a little?
Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Do a lot of people know what the Code Red reference means from A Few Good Men? It is 30 years old, the movie.
You can't handle the truth.
That's right.
Good, nice.
Scal, how many centers in the NBA do you think are better than Bam?
2?
Thank you. I love you again, Scal.
Stan Van Gundy said there's 13.
That is not true. That
No
is not.
way.
No, that is not true.
some guy
That is
sanguine
not-
from the
that is
Rockets.
Not true. That is not
No
Stan
way.
Van Gundy.
Dude, he like people listen, even though I'm a Celtic guy and all that, dude, like my key to the series is Bam Adebayo. I think the guy is ridiculous. And what people don't factor in is points created by Bam Adebayo. That's the problem with stats. Like the dribble handoff series, the screen series, like all that stuff is created by him. That he goes away. If the Miami Heat were good, it wouldn't be Jimmy Butler that deserves the MVP. It would be Bam Adebayo. People are crazy.
How do you compare him to Yusuf Nurkic?
Not even close. Not even close. Can you imagine if Bam was on the Suns? They would be a championship level team.
Seriously.
Can you tell me when you say you were on the championship Celtics, as I recall, that Celtics team took more games to win the championship because of how often you went to 7 games and the changes in formats than any other team ever had to win a championship. I believe these Celtics are better. Brian, I believe they've been more crushing to their opposition, that there's bigger distance between them and everyone they're playing. The game they played yesterday, they've been playing all season, just like that, where they win by 20 and 30 points and make it look super easy because if they're not the best three-point shooting team ever, they're right there with any that's ever shot a basketball.
Yeah, so sometimes there's like adjustments to that, right? Like when the Warriors first started shooting the three, like it took the league a while to catch up. You know, the Celtics are at a time right now where the teams have been searching for 5 guys to play all 5 out, 3-point shooting and defensive versatility. The Celtics just happen to have like a good group, like their draft assets, and they were able to land like a Porzingis and a Holiday to push to move the needle. So what I would say is like when you look at the margins, like the margin between them and the next team, they're a year ahead or 2 years ahead of everybody else, just like the Warriors were when they won that first championship. They were just lapping the field with their motion offense. So I do think this is like the first time we've ever seen a team like that. I think it becomes really difficult to guard. The difference between our team is we weren't very different than any other team. We walked the ball up. We executed just like most teams. Defensively, we were, arguably one of the better defensive teams in the history of the league, and that's what we hung our hat on. But also, when you go through those game sevens against Atlanta, like we got blitzed in transition, turnovers killed us. Like there wasn't enough offensive margin for us to sweep teams 4-4-4. So that's where if you match us up, our physicality is very different. But let's be honest, like our boy Kendrick Perkins, come on, he's not playing in a series against this team. I mean, he was like a catalyst for us defensively. So the game has changed a lot.
Brian, good talking to you. Always good talking to you. Thank you, sir.
I'm sorry,
All right,
Scal. I
sounds
love
good.
you,
See
Scal. I listen to you and Frank every day.
We're good. We're good. We're good. We're
Don't
good. I'm not
apologize
trying
to him. Stand your ground. Don't apologize to him.
We're good. I just want everybody to know, like, I'm a fan of everything the Heat do, but it's odd that everything gets swept under the rug. That's all I'm saying.
He's
That's
the
all.
co-host with Frank Isola of the starting lineup
Nice,
weekdays on Sirius XM NBA radio. He's also the Celtics analyst on NBC Sports Boston. Clearly biased and compromised. Thank you, Scalabrini.
See ya later.
We've talked about hockey and basketball and golf already this morning. We haven't talked about baseball yet, Dan. And we're not going to talk about the Marlins because they didn't do anything important this weekend at all. Nothing to talk about there. But something very interesting did happen with the Rockies. I don't know if you saw this video, but apparently the Rockies hitting coach filmed himself in the cockpit of their chartered flight from Denver to Toronto. And now the FAA is investigating this because this is very illegal. And this is a video of him sitting in the cockpit mid-flight while they're cruising. And I don't know what will happen, but the pilots, I think, have already been suspended for this.
Okay, you're away.
Flying the plane, Toronto. Everybody here.
With your first officer.
First officer. Other officers are
And he's nervous.
I'm landing this tonight. Are you landing it? I'm gonna land the plane tonight.
Yep.
So relax.
Okay, we're really relaxed. Yes.
I didn't realize that flight was in the air. I thought that was something that was happening on the ground. You're mentioning baseball here, and I have an incredibly sad list of all the teams in sports and their most famous fan.
Another list.
Who made this one, Dan?
I'm seeing it on something called Brooksgate. But the Marlins, now there are legitimate celebrities all over this. Eminem for the Tigers, Snoop Dogg for the Dodgers, Will Ferrell for the Diamondbacks, Paul Rudd for the Royals. The Marlins' most famous fan. The White Sox have Barack Obama. The Marlins' most famous fan is Marlins Man.
Wow.
I called that back here. I called that.
You shouldn't be proud of that. No one should be proud of that.
Exactly.
Gloria Estefan has to be a Marlins fan.
No.
I feel like Dan's more famous than Marlins Man.
Marlins Man is
Certainly Billy.
Not great. I'm a little bit surprised that that's the best that the Marlins can do.
He has to have that framed, whatever that is.
Stugotz, I have in front of me also the number one coach that other players in the league in the NBA would least like to play for. Do you know who that coach is? He has been named this coach 3 years in a row. The coach that other players in the league would least like to play for.
Tom Thibodeau?
That is correct.
Thibs.
But
we
why?
don't want
He's
you
got-
anyways.
He's
I
got the
mean,
Knicks in such a great spot.
Yeah.
Because he's going to play you 50 minutes a game, and he's going to treat all of the practices as if they're too important, and he's going to turn your knees into sawdust over time.
And he'll be up 1-0 on the Sixers. I mean.
Not very often.
How's Elton John a Braves fan? I'm looking at this list, and that seems odd.
I kind of want to look at this entire list now.
I can go ahead and give them to you all.
Who's the Cubs
I
most
would
Bill
love.
Murray?
I would love Elton John
Yes.
talking Ronald Acuna Jr.
Yes, the Cubs are Bill Murray. The Red Sox are Mark Wahlberg. The Orioles are Edward Norton. The Mets are Jerry Seinfeld. The Yankees are Jay-Z. The A's are Bruno Mars. The Phillies.
Snoop Dogg is a good get. Like, there are a lot of famous Dodgers fans, and they went with Snoop Dogg as the most famous.
I did not know that Charlie Sheen was a Blue Jays fan. Did you?
I don't think he is.
So you're questioning the authenticity of the list is what you're doing.
Giannis is the biggest Brewers fan
Yeah,
there
he's a
is,
Pittsburgh guy. That makes sense.
according to this list.
But that does
my
make
mic
sense.
was on while Izzy and I were discussing Michael Keaton being the biggest Pirates fan. He is a Pittsburgh guy, but Jeff Goldblum, I feel like, could be on that list too.
Roy is gone now. Did Roy go? Did he leave to make sure that he could be just closer
He's the most famous Panthers fan.
to the scent of the Panthers?
Charlie Sheen is a Reds fan.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Bill Nye, the science guy,
Not a-
is
not
What
a-
team?
a Mariners
Yeah.
fan.
According to this list, Hootie is the biggest Reds fan there is.
The Panthers won a game one to open a postseason run, Stugotz, for the first time in 7 tries. It has been since 1997
They were due.
that the Panthers have won a game one to open a series. Did you go, Chris Cody?
I was there. Little noon game, noon start, got the playoffs started, even though they
nooner.
haven't started yet. But yeah, it was exciting. It's the opposite of what's going on with the Heat because the Panthers actually have a chance to win this, and every Heat fan is just knows that the season is over.
The Panthers, I would say, I was trying to think of this. Obviously, the LeBron, Wade, and Bosch team was the team that entered any postseason as feeling most championship worthy. But because this Panthers team is better than any that there has been and better at the playoff style of hockey that any there has been, I believe that this is one of the most championship-worthy teams that South Florida has ever sent into a postseason. The problem is that not only is this sport super random in the playoffs, and not only can you lose to any hot goaltender, there are about 6 teams in the league just as good as they are.
Right.
And so it makes it sort of it's difficult. This season will not be a success if it doesn't go as far as last season does. But they will not feel like what it is that I'm saying unless they do that, Stugotz, because I really do believe this is as championship worthy as something I have seen headed into the postseason that isn't, LeBron, Wade, and Bosch, which were always going to feel like that.
They are worthy. They are good enough. They're talented enough. But the hockey playoffs, as you know, is so random. And sometimes a hot goalie will get the better of a better team. But the Panthers are good, Dan, but so are the Bruins, and so are the Rangers, and so are the Carolina Hurricanes, and there's a ton of good teams just in the Eastern Conference, and that's before they get out west, where there are some better teams playing out west.
But this has never happened before for the Panthers fan base, where they could feel like this headed into the postseason. And in fact, Stugotz, the last time it felt like this was on the buoyant false hope, because their offense was so good during the regular season, that Huberdeau and the rest, because it was the best offense we've seen in the sport, would be able to do something in the postseason. And then they ran into these uniforms, not this team, but this Lightning uniforms, and they were immediately swept, immediately strangled, immediately suffocated in a way that everything that they were good at was no longer something that could be recreatable in the playoffs.
Well, as Billy would know, lifelong Panthers fan, as am I.
Ice Cats.
And
If you actually watched the broadcast, you would feel so proud as a Panthers fan because they talk about Panthers hockey like they have an identity, and they even the people who talk about it in a way that it is the best way to play hockey. And then when you watch and you can tell the difference between the way the Panthers play in the neutral zone, between the way the Panthers play when they're on the special teams, we're not on the power play. What's the opposite when you're shorthanded?
Power
Excuse me.
kill.
When you're
Power
killing,
kill,
when you're
duh.
power. They play entirely differently, and they have this physicality about them. And then, yes, they happen to score goals as well, but that's not the fun part. The fun part is watching them play physically, watching them sort of strangle the other team. And when you hear the announcers talk about it, it's like Mike says, you feel like you're one of the original 7.
They stepped up their pregame hype video, too. They have new speakers now. They've invested money because for years I
New
crushed.
speakers, huh?
You couldn't hear any time anyone was talking in the arena.
Right.
It was just terrible. So they've stepped that up. I had 3 goosies in one hype video.
Wow. But from a fan standpoint, it's nearly impossible, as good as your hockey team is or your baseball team, those two sports in particular, to feel like, okay, we were good in the regular season. We're definitely going on a run. We're going to win the Stanley Cup. Just because of the randomness of the postseason in those two sports. Your football team, fine. Your basketball team, fine. Never in hockey. You don't say, hey, our team was so good in the regular season, we're going to run right through the playoffs and win a Stanley Cup. It doesn't work that way.
Doesn't work that way in football either.
Well, I mean, the
I have a
Chiefs
question
just won
for
it.
Chris.
I know, but the Chiefs weren't. You doubted them all season. Like, you
Ravens
doubted
didn't.
them the entire season.
I
Like,
didn't
you could say the Chiefs just won it as if it was easy when you were their loudest critic all season.
No.
So, Chris, 3 Goosies in one video?
Separate
So
Goosies.
You
3
got
separate
Goosies.
Goosies.
They
They go
went
away.
down,
Mhm.
and then they came back all within one video 2 extra times?
Yep. The video was about 2 minutes, it felt like. It was like they go through all the names, and then they have the song and the highlights and the fight. They ended with Lomberg with the knockout punch he had. I'm telling you,
I don't think I've ever gone multiple.
No,
You
good,
never had 3
good
Goosies?
Goosebumps last.
Yeah.
Nah, they come and go. Goosies come, and they're gone within 5 seconds.
Who's
You
the
feel
most
it, you're like, ooh,
famous
Goosies.
Rays fan. Is it also you, Dan?
It's Dick Vitale.
Dickie V, yeah.
Hulk Hogan, no?
No, Dickie V, when he's going out to his 4:30 dinner reservations and you catch him on the street, he's there ranting and raving about the Rays, whether you want to hear it or not. By the way, R.I.P. to the Schwab.
Ah, yes.
Transition.
Go
Sad
sit in the
day.
penalty box. Billy, go sit in the penalty
2 minutes
box.
for RIP?
He's purposely being just maximum for the first 2 hours of the
He
show
just
today.
said for morning?
2 minutes, morning.
He has been on one today.
I mean, just
not helping at
just
all.
unpleasant, like just deeply unpleasant.
He can't find his hat.
Just eating breakfast in the middle of things.
I mean, his baseball team is lousy.
They won 2 in a row. They won 2 in a
No,
row,
they didn't.
Marlins.
I think one of the easy analyses of this hockey series, it is an oversimplification, but if the Panthers are playing 5-on-5, they're better than the Lightning. And if the Lightning are great on the power play, so it's the only way they can win the series is to just make sure that they get a ton of penalties. But Chris Cody's saying that their pregame is a lot better, and he's got goosies.
3.
Given that it used to be as a pregame, him and Roy leading people out of the locker room, it would be hard for it to be worse than that. Would you guys please look up for me what it is that Ryan Garcia lost in terms of money because he bet Devin Haney that he would weigh the correct amount for their welterweight championship fight and would pay, I think it's $500,000 for every pound that he was overweight. And he ended up not only being 3 pounds overweight, Stugotz, but also showing up for the weigh-in and chugging a beer while standing in the weigh-in. And this was a giant upset over the weekend because he was a 9-1 dog, and evidently Haney spent the time like training 5 times a day, and Garcia admitted afterward that he was just drinking every day before the fight.
Garcia bet $1.5 million. He lost that.
So he lost, for each pound that he was overweight, he lost $500,000. Now it is being reported that he bet $2 million on himself to win the fight, which would obviously, he says he bet $2 million on himself to beat Haney. So that's a 9-1 underdog that he would be winning $18 million on that if that's what he bet. And it was a victory for laziness, not training, conspiracy theorists,
My man.
beer drinkers. It was a big victory for them over the weekend.
Billy, you know how you said you think that the yogurt, like the frozen yogurt people, put their finger on the scale sometimes to make it a little heavier when you get your frozen yogurt?
Oh, yeah.
You think he was doing that? Like he secretly had a big toe on the scale. He's like, I got a lot of money at stake here.
It's possible.
Have you guys seen any other examples of shrinkflation? Have you seen any infuriating examples of
Ring pops are ridiculously small now, if you must know. Oh, yeah. Check a ring pop now compared to a ring pop back in the day. Not even close in size.
You're still eating ring pops?
Well, I have kids.
Kids are still eating ring. That's like the worst candy.
I'm not a doctor.
I feel like Billy would still be eating ring pops without kids.
It's like
They're not good.
It's the worst candy because like your hand gets all
It's so sticky. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's discuss this.
They're good for a bit, though.
What is the worst candy? Because my nomination would be sweet tarts.
Really?
Don't like them.
Well, worse for your teeth or
Well,
just
actually,
worse
you know
tasting?
What? You know what? I changed that to black licorice. I changed my answer.
I think you have to eliminate black licorice from the discussion. I think that's an automatic get out of here. It doesn't even feel like candy to me.
It's not candy.
It's more like a liquor flavor than it is a candy flavor.
But it is candy, and it's not a liquor flavor. Which is the liquor flavor? That
Anise
is,
flavor, I believe. Whatever Witty drafted in that candy draft are the worst candies.
I have a nomination.
Is Jägermeister the black licorice one?
Sugar daddies. These things, I'm telling you.
I love sugar daddies.
They get
I like
stuck
those
in your
too.
teeth. Like
What?
you can't chew them. They're like impossible to chew. They're
Looking for
impossible
sugar
to chew.
daddies every day.
Black licorice has to be a runaway winner,
Hell yeah,
though. I
brother.
believe that Izzy is right about this, that black licorice has to be the worst of it, and then we have to go to a second category. What is the second worst of all the candies?
To me, it's the ones that get stuck in your teeth, in your mouth, like taffy.
Sugar daddies.
It's just not good enough to do all that work for.
Like dots.
Dots aren't great,
I like
don't
Dots get stuck in your
they
teeth.
don't-
but
do
they're
they?
bad. I'm with
Yeah.
you. They're
Do
not
dots
good though.
get stuck in your teeth? I feel
Yeah.
like they do.
Not as much as
Milk
sugar
duds.
But dots aren't chewy. Dots aren't like what he's talking about.
They're
is-
chewy.
I think so.
Never had a dot.
They're not super chewy. Like they're not in the category of where like you're putting your finger in your mouth trying to like clean your teeth after. It's the worst.
Any like hard, like you're looking at lollipops on the screen right now. Like I pass.
Where are we with the red licorice? Because to me, I mean, I feel like I'm eating wax also. I feel like in movie theaters, I've used licorice more as a straw than as actual
Well,
candy.
which are you talking about? Because if you go Vines, that's a horror, but Twizzlers are good.
I make no distinction.
I
They're both
disagree.
terrible.
I think the ones with the straw ones are better.
You think Vines are better? The movie
The ones
theater.
that Garth was eating in Wayne's World, I think I like those ones better.
I would say from the licorice category that nibs are the best. Like nibs.
Nibs are just small pieces of Twizzlers,
They're great.
basically. They're
Yes.
just tiny chewables. But if you don't think those are too, how could you think dots are too chewy and those aren't too chewy?
They
Are we
don't get
talking
stuck
about
in my
the same
teeth.
Dots.
Yes. Yeah. I
'Cause
just
there's
had
the-
dots over the weekend. Stuck in my teeth.
There's
Still.
like the yellow box dots, and then there's like the thingies that are on the paper that you eat off that I think are also called dots. Yeah. Like the receipt paper.
What's
Those
the one
full
chocolate
ones.
with all the little white spots on it that I've never
Nonpareils.
ordered?
I love those.
really?
Like the snow caps.
Oh, snow caps.
I
yeah.
love those.
Ooh.
So good.
I think those are called dots.
No.
They're all
you,
dots.
You don't know
It's
what
all
you're
dots these
describing,
days.
Said what
are
they were
you?
called.
They can't. I'm telling you,
No,
I just had them over the weekend.
Snow caps are not dots, Stugotz. Like, what did you have? Hold on a second.
I had the yellow box of dots. That's what I had. The yellow box. They're chewy.
Those are dots.
What do you
Stuck
think?
in my teeth.
What do you think snow caps are?
Well, snow caps are like a weird version of goobers and raisinets. They're in the same family. They're chocolate with a little sugar on top, right?
That's correct.
So how's that like a dot?
Not at all.
Well, I didn't say
It's
it was
also
like a
not
dot.
like a raisinette.
I was talking about the dots that you pick off the piece of paper. That's what Jess was talking about, and I believe they're actually called dots.
That's
Different
what
dots, but they're yeah.
That's what I thought the dots were.
No, different dots.
The second live hour is going great.
Couple of dots.
Tom Nibideau.
So
Nibs.
Wembanyama over the weekend, Stugotz, we saw some video come out of an interview he did where he said he is immune to temptation, that he doesn't have anything that he has to compensate for, and therefore he doesn't think that he will fall into drugs or alcohol, or he didn't mention women. He didn't mention that as a temptation, but he said specifically, I don't have anything to compensate for, therefore I am not someone who can succumb to temptation. And a lot of people took it as a sign of maturity, and I'm like, be careful. Be careful about what it is that you're saying there, because I don't believe that you know exactly what it is, the temptation, all of it, that is about to head your way, because he has gotten, he'll win Rookie of the Year. It's Chet Holmgren he's up against, and he will win Rookie of the Year, but he is not yet the star he will soon be when he's running this league. He's been someone, Stugotz, who has gotten used to, obviously, since he's from a young age. He's comfortable in his own skin, and usually when you are that kind of size as a young person, it will screw with your confidence, because I've told you before, Kevin Durant used to pray to be shorter because you just don't want to stand out so much as a kid. But he seems to have an unusual amount of confidence and maturity for his age. So let's hear what he had to say to The Ringer.
I just feel like I'm immune to like the things people try to tell me, oh, pay attention to this, or watch out, all the bad things like,
distractions.
Distractions, exactly, like partying, like alcohol, drugs, whatever, like. Why would I ever do that?
You're just so focused on what it is that you desire.
Yeah. And also, I don't have nothing to compensate for, because I choose to face all the like trauma, not really trauma, because I've had a good childhood, but like all the things that we have inside of us.
Well, he's clearly never hung out with James Harden, because that time is coming where he will have temptations placed in front of him. But I do think of a comparison, and it happens to be a guy that he talks about he wants to play like. Kevin Durant. Have you seen him sort of fall for any sort of temptations? Has he gotten into anything with alcohol, drugs, women? No. And he's made a whole career out of it and stayed out of trouble, other than, little burner account and all that stuff on social media. But I think he is the model right now for Wemby, and it's a pretty good one.
I don't think anyone questions how much Kevin Durant loves basketball. I don't think, Stugotz, that you can be the kind of great that these people are at basketball unless your focus is a bit obsessive and maniacal. It doesn't mean you can't succumb to temptations. It doesn't mean that you can't get soft with a lack of hunger once it is that you've arrived at some success. I do think that people underestimate, Stugotz, how hard and grueling everything around basketball is that isn't the games.
Right.
The arriving at 5 o'clock in the morning in a city because your flight's delayed, and just having your life turned upside down because every day you have to be in a ballroom on, to do a walkthrough on a road city because they just basically don't want you sleeping in after being out late all night. So they have the walkthrough in the morning just to make sure that their players have some sort of discipline that they have to answer to, even if they don't need what's given out in the walkthrough.
It's an easy thing for him to say now. We'll see how it goes the remainder of his career. I think what you and Izzy are saying is he hasn't seen real temptation yet.
I don't think it's an easy thing to say. I don't see a lot of people saying that.
What's he going to say?
I'm immune to temptation? He doesn't have to
wait until I win and temptation comes my way and I'm all in?
It's not always there right in front of you. You have to go seek the good times, right? I'm not saying that Shaquille O'Neal turned Dwayne Wade into a party animal, but Dwayne Wade didn't really know what it was like to be famous until Shaq got here and taught him. And so I think with your Victor, there's a little bit of naivete there that maybe at some point you're just going to start feeling yourself and say, hey, there's no way I can get in trouble. I'll just go do a little something over here. But that approach is exactly what you want to hear.
He can't be perfect. He's got to have something. Come on, what's he hiding? He's probably on his phone like 10 hours a day. Come on. I mean, all these young kids these days, they don't drink. It's like,
Right.
shut up, you're on your phone all day.
You don't have time to drink.
I'm just saying he can't be perfect. There's got to be something wrong with him. Let's find it.
You're addicted. I don't want to do that. There's plenty of time for that. Try to avoid that particular temptation. It's one the media often has.
Finding bad things.
Yeah,
I mean,
just-
it's just
yes,
if you're going to
that's it.
tell me how perfect you are, I'm going to do a little digging.
It is aggressive to say immune to temptation. San Antonio is not going to offer that much in the way of temptation. It will help. I don't think you've heard of a lot of star players in San Antonio getting in any kind of trouble.
Nope. Duncan, Robinson. I mean, one's an admiral.
Why do you think that is, Dan?
It's pretty boring. One of my the father's favorite vacation places, though. So strangely.
How's that river? I've heard they have a cool river.
It's all they have. I love a good boring vacation. Candy buttons. That's what it was.
I knew you had it wrong. We didn't talk very much at all around here, Stugotz, about Jontay Porter's lifetime ban for gambling. A pretty brutal time for the Porter family because another brother, Coben, is getting 6 years in prison for a fatality in a drunk driving accident. And once it is that it's reported that you had in Colorado a gambling account that you were betting millions on and you bet on your team to lose, I think that outside of crimes that result in prison sentences and the loss of your freedom, I think it's the greatest athlete crime that there can be. It's the reason you're getting a lifetime ban, and you don't often see anything in the way of lifetime bans. Morally, sports considers this the worst of all the offenses, to be betting against your team, to be betting on your team to lose. And so this is a name, even though we were not familiar with Michael Porter having a basketball playing brother before this is a name that you will remember associated with this particular crime because there aren't that many lifetime bans ever in sports. But also I believe it's just the beginning of this, Stugotz, because one of the things that I think, and I wrote an article about this for ESPN, the magazine, many years ago, it would make sense if you have people who are addicted to competition, never mind gambling, just addicted to competition, it would make sense that a percentage of them would get addicted to needing action away from the 81 times a year they're getting it for, in this case, 12 minutes a night on a basketball court, that you would have a desire or a need to compete at all times in a way that would be compulsive. It would make sense to me if this is just the beginning of this, that they will, like with Calvin Ridley, they will give a severe punishment to make sure that others in the future are warned that they can't do it, but it's not the nature of addiction and compulsion to be able to control it when you're somebody who has a problem with addictive personality disorder or just need action away from things. I think, Stugotz, you've noticed with young people in general, there is a need for more stimuli. There is just in general a need to get more from life than what you presently are doing at your job. And in this case, he was betting so much, Stugotz. It's not just millions of dollars, which was a lot. He was making so many bets that there was clearly a problem with how much he needed competition, action.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but in this room, we are of the consensus that perhaps if they threw out a potential lifetime ban for things like, I don't know, sexual assault or domestic abuse or anything like that, then maybe we'd take those crimes a lot more seriously. But I think when you go to the competition-aholic angle here and say, you know, that's where the gambling problems come in, I think where people have a hard time believing or understanding this, and this is even NBA players, like, your competition desire, it's like those are fulfilled by competing to make the NBA. You have already accomplished a lifetime dream for so many other people, and you're going to risk it for what, a couple $100,000? That's why you got to the NBA, for the money, because there's so many other ways to cheat for money. And so the idea, if you want this competition, go ahead and compete for a starter spot, my man. Go ahead and compete for something else to make you the best that you are, and then see if you still have that itch to compete or to get, you know, those bets off, rather.
Do you guys worry that the NBA was too strong, too harsh with this penalty? Because you set a precedent here. So whoever gambles on their own team is going to get a lifetime ban.
Yeah,
if
and
Giannis does it, he's getting a lifetime ban.
It was perfect.
The
that
NBA
it was
sure.
a Jontay Porter.
I
who did
know,
this.
but are you sure the NBA really wants to go down that road? Because who knows who's doing this?
This precedent's been set before, though, in other sports, correct?
You can't do this. This is something that is, everyone knows this. This is not something that is allowed, and the punishment is the heaviest. And when you say morally, what does this say about other crimes committed? What it says is that those crimes, these leagues don't believe impact the integrity of the product on the court or on the field the way that this one does. They're telling you what the most important thing is to them by the severity of the penalty. And the answer to your question is yes, if Giannis was betting like this, he would never play again.
I don't even think Jontay Porter has an impact on the result of the game. I don't think he is affecting the integrity of the game when you're just a guy who goes out there for 6 points, 5 rebounds, and you're betting the under. So I don't think this is like a slippery slope situation where you're going to see a bunch of players doing this. This was odd to me, especially when you consider the family that he does come from. And I don't know, how they handle their finances, but his brother's pretty rich. And so the idea that you have to go and, do illegal activity for a couple extra $100,000 just seemed odd.
I didn't think it was the money. I thought it was the action. And when I'm reading about some of the reports, I'm thinking to myself, how much of a loser do you feel like when you've bet on your team to lose and it wins? Like when you're headed home, driving home with your private thoughts, how much of an asshole do you feel like when that's what you're driving home with? Like, I thought I had inside information. I'm on the inside.
If anyone should know, I should know.
I can't impact the result enough because I'm not playing enough.
Can't feel more like a loser than that spot.
It's a bad spot. It is. It's universally bad. Did you have any thoughts, Izzy? And I know this wasn't the greatest game because Dallas, it was hard to watch how Dallas lost to the Clippers. But Mark Cuban has said already, he's ready to call it, that Luka Doncic is the best Mav ever, that he is better than Dirk Nowitzki already. I know Stugotz's take, win a championship. He hasn't won a championship.
Well, you had me out here saying that I
round.
should defend, well, I said it, but saying that you should defend Luka sideways from the side because it's the only way you can actually get a challenge on that shot. But then they go and score 30 points and a half. I did not think that was possible. And so I'm not going to reverse my claim and say I don't think he's the best Mav ever because I do think offensively he's more skilled than Dirk, even though Dirk's a slightly better shooter. But that one game was pretty damning.
I wanted to read you guys a quote here from Tyler Glasnow. I enjoyed watching him pitch for the Rays last year. He's with the Dodgers now, and he admits
Who isn't?
Yes, everybody's with the Dodgers now. And his quote is, "I'm a little radar slut."
Hey-yo.
He loves looking up at the board and seeing 99 miles an hour, 100 miles an hour.
Does he care if he gets hit? I mean,
I don't think they put up a time on the board when you get hit. I think the only time you're seeing the time that's
I'm
put
just
up
saying,
on the
if
board.
Glass now deals something that's 100 miles per hour and it goes out of the park, does he care?
He says, "I'm a little radar slut," and that suggests to me that he doesn't care about anything other than hitting 99 on the radar.
Everybody has their kinks, Stu. Doesn't matter if he hits a home run or not.
We're all little radar sluts. Whenever you drive past one of those little speed thingies and it gives you a smiley face if you're going the right speed or a frowny face if you're going too fast, you're always looking at that thing.
You get the
You're
smiley
never
frowny face
ignoring
ones?
it. Yeah, you've never seen
Not
one
in
of
my neighborhood. I don't think I live in a nice enough neighborhood.
those? To be fair, I have never seen a speed radar in Miami. They just let you speed here. Yeah. This is in other states, Izzy.
There's a Mississippi State pitcher, Stugotz, who throws 99 miles an hour right-handed and 95 miles an hour left-handed.
Come on. It's impossible.
It's not impossible. It's a thing that's
So he's getting lit
happening.
up from both sides.
99 and 95 isn't that fast anymore. I've told you this. Startled that the Oakland A's have a little radar slut who looks up at the board and it's 103 miles an hour.
Focus on one arm, man. Come on.
You should get Tommy John right now on both arms.
Just get it on both arms right now.
Premature Tommy John.
Wow, if he could space him out, he could pitch righty this year, get the TJ done. Yeah. Next year, yeah, a little switcheroo.
Yeah.
Do we have anyone here who was excited, blindsided, or curious about the fact that out of nowhere, as a surprise, a Taylor Swift double album made an appearance over the weekend and sold more than 1 million copies in the first 24 hours because she's the biggest thing in entertainment? And I don't know at this point, outside of maybe a couple of soccer players, how many people are more famous than her in the world?
It's a fair question. I don't listen to Taylor Swift's music. I'm very neutral, leaning positive towards her in general. But
Sounds like you're setting up for
I'm
something
getting
here.
the sense that people don't like this album. Is that correct, Chris Cody?
It's a love album. I'm about 7 or 8 songs in. A couple catchy ones. It's not, the first time you hear an album, it takes me a while to really decide how I feel about music sometimes. So I'm kind of, I know it's not exciting to hear. I'm kind of undecided.
Is it because you're thinking you're waiting for the rest of the people to react and then think that way?
No, it's just with music. I don't it takes me 4 or 5 times listening to a song sometimes to really decide if I really like it.
But you're
or not.
7 or 8 songs in. How many songs are there?
There's 30.
That's too many.
It's
not
I was
an album.
talking with Jeremy the other day. What's the strategy nowadays? Because I would think that you break those up into 2 albums and you're making more money. But I guess now with algorithms and downloads, you just want to throw 30 songs at them and hope a few catch.
Wait, you're thinking put 11 away for another album for another day?
I was thinking
That's a heady play. I'm with you.
Right, but I
Yes.
think the strategy nowadays is the more songs you put up, the better chance you got at the more streams, the more downloads. So it's kind of
I'm going to go ahead and guess that however Taylor Swift is doing it is probably the right way.
You think she's a volume shooter? She's not going for
I think she
hits.
has-
She's just
that
trying
is
to-
what she's doing. That is the strategy to volume shoot.
I mean, 21 to 30 songs on an album, that's a volume shooter. They all can't be
It's
good.
literally exactly what
Right.
she's doing.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're not all good. She's a great songwriter, but the key, she's hoping to get 7
But
or
you're
8.
not sure yet, you're saying.
I'm
I haven't
on-
listened to it. I've read a couple reviews and I'm like, these are not as nice as I was expecting.
Apparently, it's the relationship before Travis, because this is a heartbreak
the Matty
album.
Healy one, right?
So, yeah.
Whoever that guy is, I still don't know.
Was there a
I'll look it
time
up.
people would sit down and just listen to albums when they
Yes.
came out?
Yeah, you get your
Yes.
vinyl record, right, Stu? You'd listen to the A side, and then
Yes.
you flip it, and you listen to the B side, and then your friends would come over.
It was a
and
better time.
You'd
though.
have people come over,
buy
and that
your
would be
10-cent
your
chewing
weekend.
gum.
Well, no. I mean, I would get Mars Hotel, Grateful Dead album. I would put the whole thing on. I'd listen to the entire thing. It wasn't 21 songs, though. Like the Dead, they would put out 8 to 10 songs. They knew their music was
All
going
of
to be
them
good.
20 minutes
It
long.
would still be
Yeah,
6
so?
hours long.
What's the perfect number? Because someone here suggested that I should listen to Olivia Rodrigo, and I decided to do that. And then I found out that wasn't something that they actually liked. Same thing with Billie Eilish. Cougs played this prank on me where he's like, I love Billie Eilish. You'd really like Billie Eilish. So then I started listening, and I was 3 or 4 songs in and sending him updates on how I felt about the Billie Eilish songs. He's like, I don't actually like Billie Eilish. So I wasted my time on that.
What a strange prank. What kind of people work around? That's just weird.
It's
what are
odd.
we doing?
Juju, put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. Does it take you 4 or 5 listens to decide whether you like music or not?
It is time for Stugotz to share his game notes. No one in the media will tell you what happened better than my boy Stu.
Weekend observations brought to you by Miller Lite. Fighting through it, Chris. Great taste. Just 96 calories available for delivery. Dan, we wait for it every year. And knowing you the way I do, I think you'll agree it's a top 5 week on the sports calendar. A week where all the so-called experts will gather in Detroit to tell you everything they know about Joe Alt. Plug and play, great wingspan, a motor that never stops, Mel Kiper Jr., smoke screens, and Dan. Just like that. Make no mistake about it. Draft week is back. Motor City. Ish.
Joe Alt is phenomenal, by the way.
If you say so. Plug and play?
Oh, yeah.
Motor City is where they should hold something like this, given how often someone's going to say he's got a motor that doesn't stop.
Dan, you know what time it is in Milwaukee?
Dame time.
Wow, you're on it for Monday. Pretty good. Dan, the Knickerbockers. You know what the H in Jason Hart stands for?
Hustle.
It stands for Hearts.
It's Josh.
Oh, Josh Hart.
Called him Jason.
I just started watching. That McBride kid is good. Mitchell Robinson, 4 blocks. The blockness monster.
How do you get Josh Hart's name wrong on your team?
Was it because Jason Bateman was at the game?
I think so.
Oh, well, this is annoying, right? The celebrities coming out here, Bateman looking like a werewolf, like the New York celebrities coming out here. This part I can do without.
Sorry they had fans in the stands at their playoff game.
While everyone argued whether or not the Knicks should or shouldn't get the number 2 seed, you know what Tom Thibodeau was doing?
I do not.
Getting his team ready to play. Tibbs. The home teams.
Getting Maxey sick. Maxey's doubtful because he's sick. Embiid's hurt and
It's
Maxey's
all happening,
sick.
Dan.
Yes, it's happening.
I mean, Jason Hart. The home teams went 14-0 this weekend in the NBA and the NHL. Hey, playoffs. We're waiting. Let's go. How about we start a series? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Do it against the Nuggets. SGA.
He's not playing the Nuggets yet.
Well, I mean, get there and then do it against them.
Okay.
I mean, eke out a victory against an 8 seed with no Zion Williamson.
Stop singing in commercials. That makes me want to throw my TV out of the window.
I like that commercial.
Terrible.
Jeremy Taché tweeting, quote, Tyler Hero is going to do the thing this postseason. I could feel it in my bones, unquote. If the thing is being a mess on both ends of the court, then he's most definitely doing the thing.
The praise is pouring in for Jeremy Taché. Somebody writes in, I'm a lifelong Heat fan, and Jeremy makes me hate being one. Someone else writes in, I've always hated the Heat, and Jeremy makes me feel proud of that fact.
The golfer that always has to play one last hole, even if it means putting his headlights on his golf cart on so he can see the ball. Do me a favor. Get a life and call it a day. Go home.
Aren't you that guy?
Yes. I was playing with that guy last week, and that guy said, hey, stick around. I said, I want to go home. It's dinner time. He said, no, stick around. I said, why? He said, I need your headlights. Come on.
Headlights on a golf cart, huh?
Yeah. Yep.
2 Americas.
Anthony Edwards, 33 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. Dan, you know what the A in Ant Edwards stands for? Arrived.
Awesome. Okay. But what about do it against Denver? No, he doesn't have to do it against Denver?
Not yet.
Okay. Well, but because he's not also playing Denver the same way that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander?
Just Shai, yeah.
Okay.
Unimpressive victory for Shai.
All right.
Just saying. Minnesota, impressive victory.
Agreed.
Durant, Booker, Bradley Beal. Beal. Jesus. What a waste. It's not good.
Okay.
That's all I have for it.
Bradley Beal is not good.
He's okay. Not the real deal. Tough day for Heat fans. Tough weekend for Heat fans. Having to watch Tyler Hero do that and Dame Lillard do that. What could have been? Salvador Perez doesn't see black and orange when he plays the Orioles. He just sees red. Salvi. Man United. Survive and advance. Man U. Houston Astros. 9 games under 500. Dusty Baker. Hot seat?
Wait a second.
What?
Dusty's not
He's
still
not
there.
their manager.
He's not. Wow. Okay. That explains everything. Bring him back? Who is the Astros manager?
You asked too many questions.
You don't like the follow-up? Dan?
It's one of the first things that left in terms of sports knowledge when I started clearing out space. Baseball managers.
And numbers,
Who's
jersey
the
numbers.
most famous Astros fan, Dan?
I got to look it up for you here.
Guy
Jesse.
Fieri.
Oh, no, that's a good one.
I made that up.
DeAndre Jordan is a Nugget.
The most famous Astros fan is Travis Scott.
Astro World.
Congratulations to Father Time for getting its first victory over LeBron James in the fourth quarter against Denver. First victory. The Bruins have beat the Maple Leafs all 5 times they played them this year. You, of course, know what the Bruins have, right, Dan?
Their number?
Yep, the Leafs numbers. They do. Proud of you, man. There's nothing like Madison Square Garden in the playoffs. The Mecca. Shohei Ohtani now having the most home runs by any Japanese-born player in the Major League Baseball history, passing Hideki Matsui, Godzilla. I only put that in there to say Godzilla. To my Jewish friends, Tariq Cohen, Anthony Schwartz, and of course, A.J. Dillon, I wish you a happy Passover, Pesach, the Festival of Lights, Quadzilla. If you're wondering if Jackson Holiday has done it in the majors yet, he hasn't. 1 for 30. Overrated. The guy who takes his shoes off on the airplane. Just go yourself. It's not your house. It's not my house. It's not your house. It's not anyone's house. Keep your shoes on.
I'm cramping. I'm laughing too hard. Slow down, Stu.
Sorry. Matthew Tkachuk with a goal and an assist. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Classic Chucky. What Drew Holiday doesn't always show up in the box scores. Top 5 NBA players who what they do doesn't always show up in the box score.
You certainly aren't going to pick 5 current players. You're going to take 5 players for all time, right?
Yes. Number 5, Eric Snow. I mean, nothing showed up in his box score but wins.
Not really.
They went to the finals with Eric Snow.
That's right.
He's not wrong.
He played a whole lot of other years where they didn't make it to the finals.
That's a good point. Patrick Beverly. Pat Bev. Thank you. That was number 4. Number 3, George Hill. What's that face, Izzy?
I mean, it's a good list so far.
All right.
Is anybody still playing?
Number 2, Shane Battier.
That's the one I knew was going to be on the list, Dan. You knew that one was going to be on there.
And number 1, Bobby Portis.
That man shows up all over the box score. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
but sometimes he doesn't.
Touche.
Thank you. Here come the Phillies. Mookie Betts being in the top 5 of the National League for average, hits, and RBIs. The M in Mookie Betts stands for MVP. He's so good. They're so good. They're 13-11. They should be ashamed of themselves. A team that is that good, where Betts might be their 2nd or 3rd best player, even though he's going to win the MVP, they should be better. 13-11.
Braves lineup is still better than theirs.
The Dallas Mavericks missed 18 of 20 shots in the second quarter. You know what they say, right, Dano? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And apparently, 90% of the shots you do take.
Did you get that one, Dan?
Yeah.
Stash this away in the Something to Ponder file. Are the Bucks better without Giannis?
Oh, come on.
No need
Where's
to
the
discuss now. Just stash it away for a rainy day. What do you mean, oh, come on? Headline. Dan Patrick reveals interest from potential successors for his show. Dan, let's talk. DP. Ice. Underrated thing.
Put it on the poll, Juju at Le Batard Show. Is ice underrated?
Have a drink with ice and then have one without ice and tell me it's not underrated. The things you do while driving around the Midwest on a gummy in the passenger seat of a car. Top 5 underrated things. Number 5, Michael Jordan's passing. Number 4, Michael Jordan's work ethic. Number 3, Michael Jordan's defense. Number 2, Michael Jordan's mid-range game.
These are just all of the underrated things in the world?
Yes. Ice and then these things.
Okay.
Number 1, Michael Jordan. Dan, the Metropolitans.
Michael Jordan is underrated.
Oh, he is, yeah.
Okay.
He won a NASCAR race this weekend.
I mean, he's underrated. You don't think that he is?
No.
I think that proves it.
Congratulations to the Rams, who for the first time since 2016 have a first-round pick. That's nuts.
They were all in. We made a big deal. They were all in. They won the championship. They were all in, remember?
The C in Caleb Martin stands for Code Red. Scotty Scheffler, do me a favor. Save some wins for everyone else. He's made something that is very, very difficult look easy, and I can't stand it. Another thought I had driving around the Midwest on a gummy in the passenger seat, how is John Franco not in the Hall of Fame? Most saves by a lefty in Major League Baseball history, 4-time All-Star, a sub-3 ERA. I will not rest until John Franco is in the Baseball Hall of Fame. And by not resting, I mean talking about it today and forgetting about it tomorrow.
You were not going to rest if Dwayne Wade left the Miami Heat and played for anyone else until you blocked all of his abilities to get a statue outside of the arena, and you immediately forgot about it.
Do you see it up yet?
I mean, the idea that
I work behind the scenes,
all you do is rest.
I need some rest. Franco's would be a great name for a pizzeria. Death, taxes, and Joel Embiid being questionable in a game where the 76ers really need him. Knick fans chanting, "We want Boston" at the end of game 1 is peak Knicks fan and why everybody hates us. We're on to Boston already.
Weren't they still yelling bleep Trey Young as well? Weren't they also doing that? Wasn't there a bleep Trey Young chant that made an appearance? Jason Bateman looks like that because of a role, right? He's doing a role.
Or he's just showing off that he can grow the hair because all of his friends are getting old too.
Hey, people making mock drafts, stop putting hypothetical trades in. You're confusing everybody.
Bill Barnwell put out the
Jesus.
all-trade first-round draft.
Yes.
Oh, I love it.
You do?
I love it.
No.
The Giants trading up for McCarthy, though, Stu? What about it?
How about I trade you a 5th and you give me you shuffling off to hell? Speaking of hell,
wow.
Art Briles, Dan, those are the weekend observations.
The draft is an ever-expanding thing. ESPN is in its last year with the draft. I am curious if there will be a lot of people that try and wrestle away the draft from ESPN. One of the most popular things that Pat McAfee does is his annual draft extravaganza where he's adjacent to the draft and talking to Brock Lesnar and an assortment of others. And last week, he debuted and announced, McAfee did, that Bill Belichick would be performing with him this Thursday. Bill Belichick had his choice of jobs in the broadcasting field, I would imagine. I would imagine that there was no shortage of opportunity for him there. If you saw how he appeared on McAfee, he did so with 6 Super Bowl trophies behind him. As there's a report on ESPN of his failed job hunt in coaching. And I read but did not see, Stugotz, that McAfee did not ask him about that. And I think McAfee is someone who is proud of doing it his way. And there are many people that I've talked to in the athlete space, including Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes, who say that they want to protect relationships. And I believe that this is a change going forward that you're going to have to get used to in exchange for the access, someone asking questions who doesn't feel beholden to ask what it is that you think should be asked on behalf of the audience or journalists or anything else. And I don't suppose that anyone will care that Bill Belichick was not asked about the report from Seth Wickersham, Don Van Natta, and Jeremy Fowler about Arthur Blank taking calls from Bob Kraft saying don't trust Belichick. But I would have liked to have heard Belichick's response to that.
I was going to ask, do you care? So you do care.
I care, but
I understand that.
But
too.
I don't believe that the audience does. I don't believe that people, as long as they can get their access to Bill Belichick, care what has to be exchanged for that. But yes, that is something that I care about. I would like to know that there are no restrictions, but that wall has not only tumbled, it is now, again, Stugotz, Belichick could have worked anywhere that he wanted to.
Right.
He chose
Except the NFL.
Right. In broadcasting, I'm assuming that he had his choice of jobs.
No doubt.
And the one that he chose was a safe space that Pat McAfee is making a safe space for a whole lot of people. I remember we left here last week, right, while he's announcing that Belichick is going to be on his show, and Caitlin Clark was on his show when we left here, and she was saying, I'll do a weekly show with you. And I do wonder, because there are a lot of people questioning whether or not, or there were a lot of people questioning whether the McAfee thing will work or not, and they're paying him so much money, Stugotz, that they're putting all of ESPN and Disney's resources behind making sure that that show succeeds. That show is going to succeed.
Yes.
For a number of different reasons, but the investment will make it so that it cannot fail. It's not something that will fail unless Pat McAfee doesn't want to work there, because he's not even under the employee restrictions that other employees would be under, because he's renting his stuff to them and they're making the maximum investment. And this is where I tell you where some of the new media can absolutely change things, where you won't even notice, or care what is given away in exchange for the access, because the access is enough these days. And I would say, generally speaking, the media's Q rating with people, the job the media does,
right,
it's either not trusted or disliked. Very few Q ratings are lower as a profession than media. In fact, go ahead and put this on the poll at Le Batard Show. More despicable popularity rating, media or lawyers? Media or sports agents? Like, what do you look at, media or used car salesmen? Because
lawyers is pretty good.
No, but I believe media has probably taken out all of them now. I believe that there are very few occupations right now that need more change and have less public trust than the media.
So you're saying I walk into a restaurant, couple friends, few people in there recognize me. At their table, they're saying, oh, that asshole over there, look at him, that media jerk. Is that what's happening? Is that what you're saying?
It's tough for David Sampson because he's both.
I think that most people, if you just ask them, I don't think that's the way it presents itself. They don't.
That would make me sad.
They don't hate you on the spot. But if I ask them, if I said, how do you feel about the media in general? And is the response going to be positive or negative? If I give you the choices, if that's how I frame the question to everyone listening to this, how do you feel about the media?
Is neutral an option?
Put all three of those up. How do you feel about the media? Positive, neutral, negative. Because I think negative, especially if you put that up on social media, an existence that is negative by itself. Like, social media exists, I feel like, just for people to argue about things.
It depends on the person, though, right? Like Charles Barkley, it's going to be, yeah, I love him.
But I'm not talking
Media
about
is
that.
a very broad, like, that includes Fox News, it includes CNN, it includes NBC.
Right.
But I'm not making any of those distinctions. I'm just saying, how do you feel about the media? Hard stop.
Yeah, Dan, they hate us. I'm trying not to come to terms with that every single day of my life, but yes, people hate us.
They're also mad at us right now for giving the floor to Brian Scalabrini earlier. They're not happy that we allowed Brian Scalabrini on our show, even though we had booked that before he said any of what it is that he said.
It's not our fault, and Izzy went after him. And apologized.
He's not going to hear an attack the way he did on any other show. And so, yeah, I'm glad we had him on, even though I love you, Brian Scalabrini.
People are saying, like, we platformed him. Yeah. He's got a pretty big platform already.
Izzy, do you actually listen to him every day? Because you said that at the end.
Every day I'm in the car in the morning. Yes.
I don't believe you.
I'll turn on Frank Isola and Brian Scalabrini.
I do. I believe that.
It's too specific to not.
Frank's my guy. Come on. Frankie Ice.
And you want your basketball fix in the morning, and you know they're going to be chewing up all basketball things.
And for the record, I do not dislike Brian Scalabrini. Listen to him all the time.
Russell Wilson, speaking of something that is a note off that people receive poorly, threw out an honorary first pitch over the weekend, Stugotz, and not terribly surprisingly, brought out his own baseball glove.
That's adorable.
Dad move.
Adorkable. I don't think a lot of people are looking at that and saying that is something that they would do. Stugotz.
I know, but Russ was excited. He's throwing out a first pitch. He was practicing. He wanted his own glove. He wanted to feel comfortable. Did he throw a dart?
I don't actually know. I should make a qualifier here. I don't know if it was his glove or he just grabbed a glove that was somebody else's.
Fake news. This is why people don't like the media. You just allege something and now you're backtracking already.
I don't know whether it's his glove. I don't know which one. I think that's worse, right? Bringing in your own glove. Bringing in your own glove from home is worse than just grabbing one off of the bench.
He'll be on McAfee later. We can find out.
It's very on brand. And didn't Rob Gronkowski last week just go up and spike a ball instead of? I think this is now going to become a thing. Whatever you're known for, just do it on that mound in 5 seconds.
CJ Stroud, horrible. Was warming up to throw a first pitch. Embarrassing.
Really?
Yeah. You have to worry if you're the Texans.
Chris Cody just asked, why was Russell Wilson throwing out the first pitch at a Pittsburgh game? We had to remind him.
Yeah, I forgot what team
he plays for the Steelers.
He also did batting practice. Do you think they're like, you want to throw out the first pitch? He's like, but I want to bat also. And they're like, well, that's not.
The Pirates are like, yeah,
works.
you can come on our team. We're not going to pay you either. Well, can the Broncos pay for that salary too?
How much do you think they enjoyed it at Fenway Park that Gronk got out there and just spiked the baseball at his feet, right? Just immediately threw it right down.
Greatest night in Red Sox history.
It's so good. It is so Gronk there. He thought he was muttering to himself as he went up there. Watch this. I'm going to make him crazy as soon as I do this.
Stugotz, are you excited?
For?
Draft week.
Of course
You're
I
gonna
am.
be Detroitish.
Yes, around the area. Yes.
Yeah, if I were to tell you that there's only 13 confirmed prospects that have said they're going to be at the draft so far, how would you feel about that?
It depends on who they are. Quarterbacks?
Caleb's one of them. Yeah, there's 3 quarterbacks that are confirmed to be there.
Okay.
Is this just because of Will Levis last year? So, no one wants to go and be the embarrassed person that's hanging out at the draft just to not get drafted the first day?
There's been a lot of Will Levises over the years, right? Wasn't Aaron Rodgers one of those?
Yes.
There's been a handful. But, I think if you're an agent, you're probably like, it's not a good look. You don't want to be that guy.
Are you asking, Billy, because Stugotz is going to be eager when he's in the Detroitish area to talk to prospects and he's only going to have, a dozen to choose from?
Yeah, I would think everyone would want to go, right? Even if I'm drafted day 2, I think I'd want to be there. I'd be embarrassed, but whatever. I'd be fine with getting embarrassed. I'm only going to be drafted once by the NFL, right?
But waiting around and having America feel pity for you is something that you could probably avoid if you're not doing a Times Square draft or a Las Vegas draft or a California draft and it's Detroitish.
At Motor City.
Yep.
Who do you think is the worst person that could ask to go to the draft and be fine with being embarrassed? If there's someone that's rated like a 3rd round pick, but they're like, you know what? I'll be there, commish. And they're like, no, you're not allowed at the draft. How far down can you go in terms of picks? The 47th pick, could they go to the draft if they wanted
to?
No
kickers allowed, right?
I think it's only first-round picks that go. They
Projected?
don't have
Projected first-round picks,
first-rounders.
yes.
I like the idea of a projected 6th-round pick, just being like, I'd like to go.
Yeah.
Sam Hartman's like, I'm going to go.
I think I might get drafted higher.
This could be avoided if they just told the people producing the television show, hey, if there's someone just sitting in the back holding their phone,
Don't show them.
maybe don't show them every time they come back from commercial. Maybe just like, I don't know, talk about someone who has been drafted.
Who are the, did you say 11, Billy? 11, 13? What did you say?
There's 13 that will be there.
If Sam Hartman did show up, though, I'd be tempted to take him.
I mean, the NFL would be thrilled.
You'd be tempted to draft him?
Oh, yeah.
I do like the peer pressure of the player being there in attendance, and you feel like, I feel bad for him. Like,
He's
I don't
got
want him to
such
sit
great
there.
hair.
Yeah.
I didn't realize.
I've got an
Sure.
idea.
You're going to sell a lot
Sam
of
Hartman
jerseys.
goes to the draft. Anybody that falls lower than they're expected, you just put the camera on Sam Hartman. Just have him wave his hair around, and then that way you're not thinking about, oh, poor such and such who should have been drafted top 10.
Oh, we really thought Jaden Daniels was going to go number 2, and now he's still on the board. But Sam Hartman, hello.
Look at that flowing hair.
Bo Nix would be crazy to attend the draft, right? That guy could go in the first round or the 6th round or not be drafted at all.
I know.
I mean,
He's one of those people that I see, and I don't know why we're doing mock draft talk. I'm sorry, Dan. I feel like you're going to. I just saw you look at me and you were pissed. I've seen him in mock drafts, those two guys. I've seen him in the first round, and then I've seen him not in the first round. I don't know JJ McCarthy. I don't know if that's a smokescreen. I don't know Jaden Daniels or the Commanders. I don't know what's going on.
Can you look up for me, please, Bo Nix's collegiate touchdown to interception rate, please? Because I think it's pretty extraordinary. I also wanted to play for you a bit of instigation, Stugotz, that Knicks fan Taylor brought in. He said that we are now feuding with WFAN. Evidently, we said some things when you were close to taking the program director job here recently at WFAN. We said something. You'll have to forgive me. What was the name of the two guys, the two bald guys that Billy was confusing, and he said they were the same guy?
Oh, Sal Licata and Brendan Tierney?
Okay, yes. Evidently, we're feuding with them. I have not heard this sound, so let's hear this sound, please.
Have that battle with that fan base or Knicks Miami, especially knowing that the Knicks, probably could have handled Miami. Because, we hate, like I was thinking about it with, what are those two guys who do the show down in Florida? Le Batard and Stugotz, I think.
Oh, yeah, Stugotz.
Oh, yeah, Stugotz. Le Batard and Stugotz with those guys, like, they're big Heat fan, I think.
Are they?
I think. I mean, they're in Miami. Le Batard, I think, talks about Miami.
Stugotz is a Heat fan? He's from here. Has he embraced the Heat culture?
Yeah, well, he's from here. He wanted to be here, but he left. And, he thinks he could come back and whatever, but he can't. He's just not good enough. So, Le Batard and Stugotz, I think it would have been fun to be able to beat those,
that would have been
beat
fun.
Miami.
You know what, though? Listen, so who would I rather face? Philly. You know why? Those fans have more heart.
He did the same thing that you did at the beginning of that. Like, what are those guys' names? The guys down there, what do they do?
I'm not beefing.
Dan did it better.
I'm not beefing with Sal. I don't care.
He came at you, Stu, the most there, I think.
Yeah, but I don't care.
But he's first on the chopping block, right? Like
He
you're
would have
taking
been,
his
yes.
job.
Yeah, I might take it again now. I might call him after the show just so I could fire Sal.
I've been hearing Le Batard since 2nd grade.
Turds are funny. That's a funny insult. I'm sorry, Dan. Turd is funny.
Agreed. The turd, referring to someone as a turd at all times is universally funny.
Stugotz was weird.
Yeah, that was not.
That's a classic sports radio move, though, where you don't really, know their names, but you give off like you don't know their names.
I did not know.
I believe Dan.
I did not know who they were.
But he knows who we are. That's my point. Yes, you might not know who Sal is, and I believe you when you say that. He knows very well who you are, and he knows who I am.
Do they know that you wanted to fire them? Are those your list? Are they in a time slot that you would want?
They're in the midday time slot, and no, that's
you don't want
not
that slot.
Yeah, that's not who I was going to fire. It was Evan Roberts. I mean,
Evan Roberts. What time slot is he in?
And I love Evan. I mean, I do. I love Evan.
It's got to be the drive afternoon. Right?
It's afternoon drive. Yeah. Evan and Tiki, they do a great job. In fact, I will say this, okay? Sal, play this on your show. All 3 shows do a great job. It's why I wanted to take the job. That station is incredible, where you could put any 2 people in a 4-hour window and have them talk about a bunt, and boom, 10 shares. It's insane. But they do a good show. So I don't know why Sal has beef with me. He always thinks I'm coming up to take his stuff. I'm not taking your stuff. I was going to be your boss. I don't need to be anyone's boss at this point in my career. I can be my own boss.
You're not good enough to be the station director?
What
does that mean?
Listen, it's classic Sal, okay? Classic Sal. Okay. Don't know his name. Le Batard, Stugotz, Tierney playing along. Tierney. I mean, please, if I did a remote, okay, if I did an appearance side by side against Sal and Brendan Tierney by myself with no promotion except a couple of tweets, I am telling you I would outnumber their promotion by at least 5,000 people. I said it, but I don't want their jobs. I wanted to help them become better at their jobs. That's all.
That's funny.
I didn't want Gio's job. That's too early in the morning. I did mornings, WFAN over the summer. The show was over. I had no idea what to do. What did I do? I took a gummy. I walked around the Lower West Side of Manhattan, sleeping by 2. It was miserable.
So if you did take the job, you'd be doing it for them.
I'd be doing it for WFAN. Yes.
You're a real Aaron Rodgers here, just kind of taking jobs, try to mentor the young talent there.
I was trying to take everything I've learned in the radio industry over a couple of decades and pour it back into a radio station that I love and host that I love. I do. I listen to those shows. I like those shows.
You're so giving.
5,000 more, at least.
Right next to each other, so like almost like if the two of you, like let's say this is like like an episode of Peanuts.
Put them on the Blarney Stone on the west side. Put me on the Blarney Stone on the east side, and see who gets more people. Go ahead.
Just to be clear, though, you are saying you'd send out a couple of tweets and 5,000 people would gather around you in New York.
No, 5,000 more people than the other guys. Yeah.
That he would have 5,000.
So 5,100.
And they would have 0. Okay, so they'd have 100, and all you'd send out is a couple of tweets, and you'd get 5,000.
Hey, Stugotz, I'm going to be at the Blarney Stone East Side. Come out 3 to 6 p.m. Come out and hang out. I'll give you some sports takes. It wouldn't even be a live show. I mean,
it's the stew signal. It's just a puff of smoke, cigarette smoke out over Manhattan, and people show up at the Blarney Stone.
I believe that he believes it.
Thank you, Billy. Yes, that's the key.
Barkley was just on with Mad Dog and called him Mike throughout.
Oh, jeez.
Chris never corrected him.
Doggy doesn't care.
He just kept calling him Mike, though. His name's not Mike. That at some point you would think that a correction would be coming.
But Doggy told us this, that he's just happy that he's getting these guys on now. Because before he started doing First Take, he couldn't get you on. He couldn't get Barkley on. And now he's getting a who's who of guests. And he doesn't care if they call him Chris or Mike. I mean, it's amazing.
I'm not going to lie. I honestly thought his name might have been Mike. Like, I just know him as Mad Dog Russo.
Oh, you weren't sure?
Mike and the Mad Dog.
I wasn't sure. No, I would never listen to Mike and the Mad Dog. I lived in South Florida.
I don't know, Stugotz, if you have been watching.
Are you mad at Sal? I mean,
no.
You're good?
No. I mean, it's not very clever as an insult. I've been hearing it since second grade. But, I mean, I didn't hear. He took you out more. I don't know. I guess being a turd is worse, but I've been hearing that one for
Do you
a
like
while.
Le Batard less or Le Bastard less?
Yeah. I got both of those since I was a little kid. I actually probably got Le Batard more than Le Bastard, though, probably because first graders aren't using bastard.
Yeah, one hurts more
Kids
than
like
the other.
poop humor.
Tough one. It's interesting with Sal, though, because I had a conversation with Sal, and I told him this. I said, Sal, I am so happy for you because you, like me, listened to WFAN growing up, and now you are living out your dream of hosting on WFAN. That's what this station is all about. And it was sincere, and I meant it.
You're fine.
And he thanked me. Now, whether or not I would have fired him if I took the PG job is another thing. But I had that conversation with him when I was doing mornings with Boomer and Gia. And I really am happy for Sal because he has waited and waited and waited. And then Carton left. And then Tiki went to the afternoons. And there was a spot open in middays. And even though that spot should have went to me, it went to Sal. And I am super happy for Sal because he has wanted this his entire life, and he is living out a dream. And I love watching people live out their dreams. I'm super happy for him. I really am. Whether or not he believes it is up to him, but I've said it to him 1,000 times.
I thought you were done commenting on this. I thought you didn't have anything that you had to say about any of this, that you didn't want to take anybody out. You actually showed restraint at the start of this.
I did, yeah.
What happened?
I don't know. I mean, I like Sal. I'm getting older, I don't want beefs. But make no mistake about it. I mean, he says one more word, I will end his career.
Sometimes you accidentally drop a diss track.
He could have just called you John Wiener.
It's better than Ugotz, right? If
He could have just called him Stugotz.
If he had been just Le Batard and Wiener, I think it would have been better than Ugotz. I don't even understand what Ugotz is.
He's got built-in insults in the name. 2 of them. Pick one.
Yes.
Now imagine it's me and Dan Blarney Stone, East Side. I mean, you're in.
I would say that over the last couple of years, the post game has become something other than what I ever intended it to be, which was us just sort of talking about everything that we had done before, hence the post game. And Juju is a man of the people. He's the voice of the fan for our audience. He has a very good ear for what works and what doesn't. So I wanted to bring him in here and just get a review of how we did today. Juju, what were your thoughts on what we did well, what we did poorly, your general feel? Look at the smile on Chris Cody's face. Why are you smiling like that, Chris?
Because I mean, Juju started smiling, and I'm excited for this segment.
Okay, so let's see what we've got here. Juju, what is your assessment on how we did today?
I mean, look, I cannot believe y'all started the show off talking about sports. Like, I was like, where the hell am I? Y'all didn't lead the show off talking about some damn cupcakes or who ate the damn cupcake for a whole HBO hour. Y'all actually watch sports this weekend? Ain't that I mean, besides Izzy admitting that he didn't watch the best game of the whole week, I'm surprised y'all wasn't talking about toenails or like, I don't know. So hats off to the first block of the HBO hour. Thank you.
Too much sports, I thought. I thought it was too much sports. You disagree.
It's a sports show. What the hell is nobody tuned in to hear your politics bit, bro? Nobody tuned in to hear how you don't like Pat McAfee's new guests. Like, we here wanting to hear sports because we seen you on ESPN. We don't give a damn about all that other stuff.
I don't feel like
respect though. Salute.
I don't feel it's not that I don't like Pat McAfee's guest. I would like to have Bill Belichick. I'd like a chance to crack that open as well. But I would say that there are plenty of people around here who aren't listening because what they want from us is the sports analysis, even though I do understand the criticism that we don't care about sports quite enough, I would say. So but understood. What else did we do poorly or well today?
Whenever you said that it was disrespectful for Anthony Edwards to yell in KD's face like that. You were one of the people that was leading the charge on, hey, man, the young guard is taking over the old guard. And hats off to you for calling the Golden State Warriors weeks ago. I was still scared of them jokers, but you called it. You said, I don't know, bro. It looks over, and it's over. But this is what it looks like for that young guard to take over the old guard. The young guard, I didn't see that as disrespect at all. That's like, KD, you my GOAT. Yeah, wake up, because I'm cooking you right now on national television. And because of who KD is. I see if this was TJ McConnell, salute to Timothy John McConnell, wherever you are. But this is KD, someone who breathes the spewing of the anger of the Twitter world, and he has all the swords coming at him on his Twitter page. No pause. But it's like, look, that's what it looks like. Like, you want this new game like this, bro? Anthony Edwards cut the head off the dragon and told the dragon, I'm here now. And that's the new generation. Salute to the new generation. That's how it's done now. You did me. And it's all love. The same way how we say with the hip hop beef. Well, I was disappointed in J. Cole for leaving. Bro, this is exactly that. I can bust you on the court and then after the game call you my GOAT. We ain't gotta take this straight to, oh, this is gonna escalate. No, it's not. This is basketball. You feel me?
TJ McConnell is now a Pacer, and I would still argue, Juju, that saying to Kevin Durant's face, "You're an old ass," the old is something there that I would see disrespect in if I were Kevin Durant, although he didn't seem to.
Nah, bro, old is the goal. Anthony Edwards, hopefully one day he could have his young person who calls him the GOAT, say, I'm killing you right now, OG. Because look, Kevin Durant got rings. He done lived a professional life. He's the same age as Nicholas Batum, as I found out today. You did me. So I think it was, from my opinion, and I'm not exactly the youth. You dig me? I am 21 years old. I just think that was respect to me. That's respect.
Any commentary you dug up that I need to hear about from our fans on today's show?
No, it was a lot. It was a lot of just hate for the Celtics and Scalabrini. And wow. I mean, I'm a Celtics fan. After seeing Drew Holiday push my dog Caleb Martin in the back, I had a reserve. I'm like, you know what? Oops, my bad. Like, that was kind of Drew's fault. Not even kind of. That was all of Drew's fault. And for him to still stand on the fact that it must somehow be some kind of poison. Salute to my Celtic brother. But I think you might have been on all the smoke before you came on our show, because the brother looked high.
Whoa, hold on a minute.
Time to throw away all journalistic credibility and get reckless. Here is something we like to call reckless speculation.
You're good.
Yeah, brother. Brother came on the show spewing all the nonsense that was clearly in HD that it wasn't. So I like what he's doing. He's keeping the pressure on the Heat and the hatred alive. But we don't need that. We don't need fabricated hate, brother.
Except from PK Subban, who thinks that the Panthers and Lightning need more hate. I like what you're doing with post-game NBA shows on our YouTube channel. When's the next one you're doing, Juju?
We might try to do one tonight. It's according to just my partners in crime, man. Whenever they're ready for it, I'm at their whatever the word is, insert there. I didn't graduate college, but
behest at their behest.
Beck and call.
Yeah, that's the behest. You know what I mean?
But you're not sure if you're doing it. We're not sure if we're promoting that there will be an appearance tonight or not. It's up in the air. You may or may not be appearing. Okay.
420 was this weekend, so
Okay.
up in smoke. If DJ Tommy Town can get on the ones and twos, we will have a show tonight. That's Thomas Darrow. Salute to all the love and support he gives. But before we end it, you know what I mean? The last topic you guys talked about was the Pat McAfee, Bill Belichick situation. I'm not sure if you're getting the reckless speculation music still playing in your ear, but it's still going crazy.
I took it off. That's my fault. When I press the buttons, that's what happens around here. What do you have from the last segment?
So look, okay, I think the changing of the guard as well in the media, the new media, the Draymond Greens, we respect that this is the mental health era. This is butterfly. This is J. Cole era. This is careful planning. This is care era. And a lot of the old media, they went by guidelines. Is it true, false, whatever the narrative is. So I think Pat McAfee and some of the other former athlete players that are now doing the media, I think they come in with that care installed that the old media just doesn't have. It's not that we hate the media. It's just that we hate the callous that the media shows towards sensitive subjects, in my opinion.
Well put, Juju. We will talk to you tomorrow, buddy.
Yes, sir.